All right,
Um,
everybody, what's going on? Yo, what's up, Ravi? Scotty, good looking loser, coming at you with another podcast. This edition, we're just going to be me and Ravi talking about a bunch of different topics. He's been crushing it lately, so we want to get some of his insights and stories and shit he's been realizing and what's really changed with his game. So this should be interesting. And yeah, man, how's life, bro?
bro, you gotta say, man, it's a really kind of beautiful time in my life right now because I'm able to see all the things that I was working towards happen in front of my eyes and enjoy like this incredible experience that really just takes me back to why I started this stuff and why I took your advice and what Chris taught me so seriously and believed in it for as long as I did. The experience that I'm having right now is just remarkable of abundance, of choice, of options, of incredible intimacy, of an incredible dating life right now. I mean, this quarter, like quarter four, since we hung out a few weeks ago in New York, I came back.
Right.
I've been with like nine new girls. Yeah. I'm the feeling that I'm experiencing of this level of abundance. It's a feeling that's actually really changed me as a person. I'm walking through the streets differently. I'm talking to people in a different way. How I feel, I gotta
Mm.
be truthfully honest with you. How I feel in my brain, in my body when I wake up is the feeling of a winner. It's the feeling of a guy who can go out into the world and if he wants something, he can get it. This is a feeling I was looking for my whole life. And I'm so glad I got to feel this. The trust that I had to have in yourself and Chris to just believe this is possible. It was serious, but because everyone else who listened to you guys got results, I knew I'm no different. I'm a human being like everyone else. I want this. I want to be successful. I want to have a great time in dating. And sure enough, now is an era in my life where it feels like I've got more than I even need. You like I have to, I've got all these texts coming in. I've got she wants to see me this day. She wants to see me this day. It feels incredible. Really, it just feels so incredible. And why I wanted to, why I wanted really want to talk to you today. And of course, say thanks to you. I'm extremely grateful. Of course, I wouldn't have been able to do this if it wasn't for you and Chris. None of us really would. But I wanted to just come on here and talk to you today because 2 years ago I was a virgin. Two
That's
years
crazy,
ago,
man.
yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. Yeah. That's one of the greatest stories that I know personally, like in the whole entire industry. I mean, that's crazy stuff. So
It's
a
unbelievable.
lot of people could resonate with your story, man, for sure.
It's
I mean,
it's it's like
I thought I was a really hard case to deal with. Like 19 years old, losing my virginity. From my perspective back then was like way behind the eight ball. Like I needed a lot of catching up to do. So yeah, man, I add an additional 10, 11 years to that. That's crazy, man. Yeah. I mean, it's right up there as far as one of the most successful stories we've heard. Crazy, man. So I'm fucking so proud of you, man.
thank you. You know, I'm just grateful that you did what you did, put this into the world. Like we are you and Chris everything, man. There's so many thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of men who got this information, who just received a good example from guys who had this like figured out in a certain way, in a certain way, yeah, that every area of my life, all the people that I'm around now benefit from it, man. Like I just I find it so interesting. 2 years ago, I didn't think I'd ever go on a single date. Honestly, I thought it was I didn't know if it could be done. Over like 200 now. I didn't think I'd ever really be able to approach women. That is not a problem anymore, to say the least. The gratitude that I feel that I got the right information is why I feel strongly about having this podcast with you today. And the first thing that I want us to start on really is what I attribute my success to, my turnaround to, which was we had, fortunately, we had GLL. I'm 100% GLL guy, 100% to the fucking bone. That's what I believe
Hmm.
in. That's what I'm going to believe in. That's what I'm committed to. That's what I'm dedicated to. And I'm going to fly that flag. I want to ask you, um, guys coming up now, man, this red pill, there's all this crazy shit on the internet. How can we help more people come to the light? How can we like just communicate to these people that, man, what we're doing over here is a different thing? Because maybe
Hmm.
they don't know what GLL is.
They
I
probably
want,
don't, unfortunately. Yeah. I mean, you're right. I mean, the site is down apparently right now for other reasons, but you're right, man. It's a, it's an interesting time. I mean, there are plenty of good resources out there that guys hopefully stumble upon, where they can just avoid some of the more popular stuff, the mainstream stuff, the stuff that's really getting pushed out there. But yeah, you got to be able to protect yourself, man, because I don't know. I'm trying to like put myself back into my shoes when I wasn't 21 years old, or even yourself. Like, where would you turn nowadays? Is the question. Probably some of these mainstream podcasts and things like that are blowing up. So I don't know, but there are good coaches out there and shit like that. I would. Me and you are coming from the perspective of like, don't focus too much on the female aspect of it. Just focus on yourself and what you're able to control, and becoming a better version of yourself. That's it. Like when it comes to dealing with women, and as a result, yeah, you'll understand the woman side of things more for sure. But you'll, even to this day, dude, they're very complicated. Like you're not gonna like, you know, that shouldn't be the primary focus. Like, oh, let's understand women's nature through, some sort of interrogation and process, and we'll learn more about them. No, it's more of this is like a way to seduce these women through becoming a more attractive version of yourself, right? So if you look at things from that angle, it is a different lane altogether. But if you're being fed a lot of this other stuff, it's kind of just entertainment. Should be able to sniff that out right away, and it's triggering, an angry dude who's not having any success with girls. And I don't know how possibly that could light your fire. It ultimately comes down to you and you really wanting to change and being sick and tired of being sick and tired, basically, and just, like, you don't give yourself enough credit, man. I know GLO was just there, and Andy and some things, but you ultimately had to make that decision. You look yourself in the mirror and make that decision to start taking the action, because otherwise you're just looking at a computer screen, and it might be great information, great videos, but you really have to be the one to, start taking massive amounts of action, and implementing the stuff that you think is, jewels. It could be a gem right in front of you, but you're not, putting that into practice. And so, dude, give yourself a pat on the back, man, because that's what it all boils down to. It comes down
yeah,
to that burning desire, and the burning performance within all of us to try to just improve our dating lives and success with women ultimately, man.
mm.
So
Y-
yeah, but there's a lot of stuff that definitely could lead you in the wrong direction, especially what's available. Back 10, 12 years ago, there was no big podcast dating and interviewing girls and stuff like that. And it was a limited amount of options, but that actually was a blessing a little bit in disguise, because you didn't sometimes so many options, or where do I go, what direction to go. It could just be confusing, and there's a lot more, I don't know,
yeah,
disingenuous people out there for sure.
yeah. That's really the thing with this though. Me and a generation of men grew up listening to Scotty and Chris. We listened to this podcast how many fucking times of like you and Chris talking for hours and hours. That was in my brain. That was what was going into me. That meant that as I was going through the world, It was about being a positive, cool guy who's good with people, who's enjoys being around people, who's got a good life, who goes out, who enjoys women, who is successful women, who women like them. Like they like me. They fucking like me, dude. I'm telling you,
Right.
right? The places I go to, the coffee shops and stuff like that, right? Just hang out, talk to them. These women, once they start talking to me, man, they somehow like find me on Instagram. Like start messaging me, like add me, like match me on Tinder and all this shit. That's because I had the right influences in my mind that put me on the right track. And when I remember all the conversations that you would have with Chris, you guys are elite level players. You guys had great success, abundance. You guys got to the absolute like top, and you achieved your desires and dreams, right? And the energy you put out was one that you really were grateful. You were like enjoying the women you were with. You enjoyed the healing it gave you. You enjoyed the fact that you got over your insecurities, the fact that you could move through
It
the
was very
world.
it was very relatable, like, because and doing it through cold approach, which is one of the more difficult avenues to do it. Like it related to the average guy who, may not have his money in order, or may not have a lot of other aspects of his life in order, that doesn't have his own place, and was still able to have massive amounts of like, to put all the excuses aside, right? And that's where I think we were coming from. Not like, get all your ducks in order, you need to have your life perfect before you can even start seeing some success with women.
Mm.
I think that's where we were really relatable, man, because I mean, listen, I was living at home. uh you know yeah, I had a decent amount of money, but like, as far as other bad habits and things like that, I was developing into who I became, obviously. So I just feel like overall it was very relatable for a lot of people to be like, put the excuses aside. You don't have to wait until everything is, in order to start really putting a lot of time and energy and effort into that. Because first of all, I think we could be influenced that way, but a lot of us know that in order to have success with women, we're going to have to face it head on. It's not just a byproduct. It's not just, let's do it 1 hour a week, part time. And it it's very much worth, um, you know, a daily practice, really. As much time as you can put into it is what you're going to get back. The That's how it works, bro. The more time and energy you put into something, and how important it is to you. And if you really believe your happiness is tied to a lot of this stuff, or else you're going to be just getting walked all over your whole life with girls. You're going to be frustrated. It's one of the, it will, it will ruin your life.
Yeah,
Straight up. I've had so many
it did
clients
me.
and people tell me, yeah, it just ruins your life. It needs to be handled directly. And I really think everything else becomes secondary. I really do. That may be a hot take for a lot of people, but I truly believe that. I would sacrifice a lot of other stuff to put this first and foremost, you know, um, because the guy with game and the guy making tons of approaches, by and large, when he's against, the general population, he's going to be miles and miles ahead of everybody else.
Yeah,
It
yes.
really is. That's how you get the advantage. That's how you get the leg up on everybody, is just by really, seeing these things over and over again. And really it becomes like clockwork. Yeah, it's nuanced, but it becomes very much ingrained inside of you, and you could handle these situations like no one else. I remember I'd take some guy out with me who's never seen this before, and it's like, wow, this guy is in his own, he's in his wheelhouse right now. This is his playground, and he's just out there having fun, and making it seem effortless, easy, you
Mm,
know and you could just catch that vibe, because it's all real, and it's coming from a place of experience, man. So
yeah.
I'm a huge advocate, man. I mean, I don't think you hear that enough, really, is to put this first and foremost, and you have to deeply know that it's tied to your happiness, man, regardless. Because you could say focus on your money, focus on weights, but we're multifaceted human beings. You're going to have urges just like anybody else, especially in your peak years. It's a, your sex drive is at a peak. So you're telling guys, just put that to the side. It will come as a byproduct. That's not a very good message to send. You're going to be walking around frustrated. You're going to be frustrated at work. You're going to be, it's got to be numero uno,
Yeah.
absolutely. For sure,
Uh,
man.
of course, I completely agree. This is one of the, I mean, when I hung out with you, I did like one of the first things I did is I said thank you to you and you understood I was really thankful. I expressed my gratitude properly to you. And then many of my friends said, make sure you thank Scotty, make sure you thank Scotty. So I pulled up the messages, showed you because you taught me this stuff, I was able to get out of a fucking rotten position in my life. And I expressed to you why what you said is so important. All right. As I went through my life, I almost was two people. There was a part of me that was going to university and trying to get his career together and all these sorts of things. But there was the greatest part of me inside that pretty much I will say was more or less dead, right?
Mm-hmm.
When I would be walking around the streets and I would see couples together or beautiful women, I promise you, it used to fucking kill me inside. I promise you it hurt that much. Yeah. As I would try to achieve and do well and do well in university and whatnot and get these great marks and whatever, I wouldn't be happy about it because it felt empty. Every other thing I tried to do, whether I'd compete in sport and whatever else, even if I excelled, I felt nothing because I was lonely. I felt isolated. I was untouched. I felt unlovable. I felt that I was just existing in this world for no reason. Every other area of my life was brought down. And it wasn't just because, oh, Ravi, convince yourself to be happy. You've got other things, you've got friends, you've got whatever, and you try to be happy. It just doesn't work like that because we are human and we have needs. When
Imagine
those,
if that was the message being pushed, that if you focus fully on women, like almost university, and you put all your time and attention into that, everything else comes as a byproduct. That's the complete opposite of what's being told out there, right? That's the way I approach it, bro. Look at a guy like Chris, right? Leaving law school to go focus full time on pickup, and learning how to do this stuff. Because if you take care of this aspect, your confidence skyrockets, bro. Like, that we don't, as men, you get a lot of validation in life. That's why we go to sports, we go to work, we try to get that pat on the back. We want some sort of, camaraderie, like that the feeling of being loved. And if you take care of that, where women are chasing you and you have an abundance in that area, why wouldn't, as a byproduct, then all of a sudden, things, your finances, your gym, all that stuff will kind of come as a byproduct. I think that is the right approach to take, honestly.
that's
Or
what I
else,
did.
like you said, carry on. You're going to feel, very much empty. And I think a lot of people could relate to that, dude. All the time we get people calling us, potential clients telling us this exact story. I did this. I got the money. I got this, but they just either through mainstream advice thought that all of a sudden women would appear magically. I don't get that. And if you're only even putting like an hour a week aside, or 1 day a week, you're still going to be really slow. You're going to have a very slow developmental process, so it's how serious is this? Deeply that it's directly tied to your happiness and other areas of your life. And the more time you put into it, the more you will get back.
Yep. That's how I did it. That's how all my mentors did it. That's how all the senior people in the community did it. That's how all the people that I know are the best in the world did it. That's how the happiest, most abundant men who when you talk to them, they're a fucking cool guy. They're not broken inside. That's how they did it. And I want to just speak on this, right? See, when I decided to, because I couldn't get rid of that feeling, it took until 30 to recognize nothing else works. I got several promotions. I still feel like shit. I still don't even want to be here anymore. I did all this shit,
Mm-hmm.
right? It was at that point, just before I turned 30, I realized all right, there's nowhere else to go. Go back to GLL, fucking break yourself off to make these ideas work. I moved in with an old school GLL guy. I approached, as everyone knows, I reduced my workload. I like half the hours. I went from like full time to like half time. And then I approached, 4, 5 hours a day, 7 days a week for almost 2 years. I did all this shit, right? It was, in fact, that turned my life around. It wasn't the pursuit of promotions, pursuit of all that skill set. It was
Mm-hmm.
that. It was the feeling of waking up in the morning, no longer with a dark cloud around your head, thinking that you're somehow God's lonely man, that you're just in this world to suffer. It was turning those experiences around and creating success. And where there was old memories of nothing but defeat, now there are memories of success after success, win after win, new and higher levels of achievement and accomplishment. That when I wake up, my time is able to be focused on things that give me greater joy, greater satisfaction, because I prioritized me, my happiness, my heart and soul. I nurtured myself. And the feelings that I have when I look at my life now is gratitude. I have accomplished a lot. I've achieved a lot. I'm 10 times more effective in every area than I ever was because I fixed myself. I put myself
Mm-hmm.
together as a person. You know how great it feels, right? You know, there was three
If
women in
if you
my
were to poll, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead.
there was I was just gonna say like one thing before I
Yeah,
hand
go
this
ahead.
up. In this room that is over to the side there, right? Last week there were three different women in it, right? And
Yeah.
the way they treated me, the way they like held me, like falling
Mm-hmm.
asleep next to each other, and they're just being so grateful. Like I'm a man that's approached 7,000 women. I'm good with women. I'm not Scotty, of course. I'm a student of Scotty like everyone else, but I'm gonna get better and better. The more time I speak to Scotty, hang out with Scotty, it's gonna keep improving me. But the experiences that I have, they're fucking remarkable. They make you happy to be alive. They make you want to take on the world. They make you want to achieve great things.
Mm-hmm.
These feelings were what I was looking for, of like wholeness, of integration. You know how like gratifying it is when like you get these texts from women like, I haven't been with someone like you in bed. You're the best man I've ever slept with, all this, and like they're wanting to take pictures of you so they can show their friends and all this shit. It's like it's
Exactly,
remarkable.
dude. You're just hitting home the whole point that if you put this first, if you prioritize this, let everything else take care of itself. Like if you were to poll like 1,000 men, it would, atop that list of importance would be like just being loved and appreciated and respected by women, right? And having women come after you, chase you, and you know, guys could go their whole life, dude, and not have any compliments from a woman, any validation from a woman like that. That's inside. It just eats men apart. Like we start thinking about women in middle school, high school. It's like no one gives a fuck about the homework. Do you remember what you studied in English class? No, you're looking at the hottest girl on your mind is your high school crush or this or that. Like it's heavy on our hearts to have you know good relations with women and to get that positive feedback from women. Like if you don't handle it and just go, the way of the world, which is go into university, make your money, carry on, try get you know, by chance meet your girlfriend or wife and just lock her down. That's what a lot of people do. A lot of guys I grew up with took that path. That's the path of
Mm,
peer pressure and just to kind of almost settle, right? If you only do it once even a week, you're going to be behind the eight ball. You're probably one girl is going to finally show you some love, going to hook up with her, and you'll probably end up like either wifing her up. But that happens a lot with guys who jump all in on this and they cold approach. Like they end up settling with one or two girls, and that's it. They drop off. They totally drop off. They stop doing it. They stop sharpening the sword. Man, this
yeah.
sword should never stop. Being refined really throughout the years and
Mm,
just getting better and better with this stuff. It should never just come to a screeching halt, right? You may slow down from time to time, depending on where you are in your journey. If you got a rotation of two, three girls, You know, yeah, you may slow down a little bit with the cold approaching, but you're always staying sharp. And you'll notice even when you have like three girls, you'll start getting more eyeballs from girls just in your day-to-day life. You know, that you're walking around with a different aura, like you've been accepted, you've been loved by the opposite sex. Some guys will never ever experience that. And you could do less approaches and you're still going to be pulling girls. It just so happens that's how it works. Like when you start having success, you start getting more and more, you just get better results as a byproduct of relationships and girls and seeing that you're wanted by the opposite sex. It's crazy. And you could attest to that too.
Of course, brother. Let me speak on that because I think that's like one of the things that I'm most, joyous about. So, firstly, like I can say, right, I documented all of this, right? It's public, Everything that I'm talking about here today, it's been read by 700,000 people, right? I documented every approach. I wrote every field report. I wrote everything. This is true. This is legit. I've got the receipts if anyone fucking doubts. Goodness, I'm getting laid left, right, and fucking center right now. Okay, and I got all this stuff going on in my life. I'm loving it. I'm fucking loving it, right? And you know how it feels to me right now? It feels like I I trusted in these two people, right? Scott and Chris. I trusted in them, and then I did everything they said, right? Kept doing the approaches, didn't stop, didn't take any breaks, didn't. Oh, I've got a few girls going on. I doubled down and did even more. I
Mm.
kept going, right? I didn't. Oh, I'm getting dates now. I didn't fucking stop. I doubled down and went even harder, because when you're talking about when you're listening to someone like Scotty, right? This is like elite level player, right? That lived the lifestyle for 7 years, like fully in, all in, right? And where you got to in your consciousness, all the little ideas, all the little pieces of wisdom that you put out, that me and many other people just listened and observed. One of the things was about like, you know, um, almost like the core of this game, and how as you go through the years, that's when you start to see the world differently and you heal internally and change. When I first started, I'll talk to you about what my dating was like, what my lays were like versus what they're like now. The
Mm.
difference was night and day. I'm approaching, this 3 years in this consistent hard work,
You
3 years,
get
right?
you get street smart too, like you just said. Like you get street smart too. Like I would almost take a guy who's street smart over a guy who's just university smart and he's got no street smarts at all. Like it's the truth. I mean, when you're out in the streets day in and day out, you learn relations with all sorts of different people. You know how to confront people. You know how to like you're very socially calibrated when you're day in and day out on the streets, man. For sure. You just know how to move. You know how to move differently, man. If you take a guy who's just been book smart his whole life, um, and you put him out in the streets, he's like a fish out of water, bro. He doesn't know
Yeah.
how to. He's uncomfortable. You could see it. It's a guy who's extremely uncomfortable, and it takes a while to get used to that, man. He don't want to. That's not his playground. He doesn't feel comfortable there. He wants to be, in his little bubble, like just, you know, getting good grades. Really, I mean, I don't get it, bro, but it's a big difference.
The guy who has calibrated his brain to be around people, to be positive, to be with other human beings, and to be successful with people is the guy that's going to win in life at a far higher level, because the game of success and the game of having a great life is all about people. If you haven't got the people around, if it's just you reading books and you tapping away at this keyboard, when it comes to the end of this life and there's no one around you, you ask yourself, was I even really fucking here? Street smart is something that truly cannot be replicated. Using your brain in this manner, learning so much about the human animal, going through the ups and downs, the cycles. You know, this is why we need Scotty. This is why we need the Scotty Brotherhood, which is going to be the group that's going to be launched, because there's so much of the deep core of this game of taking the heat, of taking the difficult days, of going through it, that teaches you about life and how to be a man and how to really be on your purpose. And when these things come together and they really start to internalize yourself and crystallize, you are a different human being. And all of a sudden, women fucking love you. They love this sort of guy. They love, not only does the world reward this with more financial abundance. Women reward this. This is what, you know, true, true growth, true abundance really looks like. You learn this shit as you pursue the game of women. As you start to win the game of women, it's really just a testament to the overall game of life, because the reason why humans exist in this world, why we are alive as an animal, is to replicate our genes, is to be with people in a tribe, be with our brothers in our tribe, and replicate our genes. That's why our body is designed the way it is. So our brain is designed the way it is. This is the most important game in this life. And when you start to succeed in it, what it gives you is everything else you need to be the happiest and most effective man that you can be. And why I know this is because I fucking lived it. When I first started this, I first started my approaches. When I first went out there, only thing I had in my mind was I just want to do what Scotty did, man. I just want to see it one time. That was my goal really when I just started approaching a couple of years ago. I just wanted to, like, one time, like, just approach a woman and get like real high level of attraction and see if I can make something happen. Now, of course, as I
You
went
got to
through this.
understand something. Most guys never ever experience that. Like that. That's why it's hard to focus in other areas. Like the man needs some sort of validation or positive feedback from the opposite sex. Like um, I really do believe that would be up there as far as importance when it comes to everything else. It's not just some secondary thing, and it takes practice. It takes the willingness to put yourself in the line of fire. You know, you got to be willing to put yourself out there because they're not going to come and knock on your door, right? I mean, maybe if you're at your workplace, you have some flexibility to be flirtatious with the opposite sex and get some validation, but you really want to be free of that as well, and be able to do it on your own time too. You know, if it happens in your workplace, more power to you, but I wouldn't bank on that as like your primary way of meeting women. It could lead to some issues or problems, and um,
For sure, bro. For sure, it can.
yeah, for sure.
I've seen some stories about that. Let me tell you, right
Yeah.
now. Um, but what we kind of like what we kind of see in the difference of between a guy who's relying on meeting someone in his workplace or a situation like that versus a guy who can actually attract women, right? That experience is night and day. Now, that was the most brilliant part of this for me. This is why I really invested in this and why it was the right move. The way women would treat me the first year of this, I wasn't the full product then. I didn't have my real confidence. I didn't beat my insecurity at that point. I'd only been with a few girls. I hadn't experienced these fucking crazy streaks like I'm experiencing now. And because of that, the way I speak to people, the way I speak to women, it was different. There was aspects of me which weren't, they can always tell. In this game, no one really shirks the work. And women, by the time that, they dealt with so many men in their life and they're just naturally better at dealing with the opposite sex, they truly know how confident you are as a man. They can almost see through your fucking soul. First year of this, I wasn't getting the kind of retention that I wanted. Even when they were fucking me, they weren't like over the moon as such. It was like, yeah, whatever. Because I wasn't the man I am now. I've
Mm.
I've been through this cycle with so many women at this point, and had some wild, amazing times. When I'm like getting an incredible experience with a woman now, right? It's like a different level of consciousness. It's almost like a spiritual experience. Of course, you improve in bed, right? After you've had a lot of action, you improve, right? You can show them an amazing time, right? Now, what that now looks like for me is that I'll get texts, from women saying, thank you so much for this experience. I'm so glad that I was able to meet you. Sometimes these women just traveling, they're here for a day or whatnot, end up in my room. Versus year one, where, it was a very inexperienced Ravi, a guy who was just not sharp. His sword wasn't quite ready yet.
Mm.
And I also look at, like, as I got more confident, right, and as I really developed my skills, the look I see in a woman's eye now, when she's really attracted, just the subtle things that I never saw before. These are because I committed to this as a lifestyle choice, that it's a day-to-day thing for me, that I was able to see these things. And really, speaking from my own heart and soul, it was those looks that I wanted because I knew inside that is what treatment a really attractive man gets. That's what a girl does when she really fucking likes a guy. And that's what I wanted. I wanted to be that type of guy where a woman's like lighting up and really enjoying being with you. Versus when I was inexperienced in the game, when it was only the first few months, the first year, year and a half, or whatever, I never saw any of that. Rarely, rarely, maybe here and there, but versus now, it's that feeling when your brain knows undeniably, you really fucking got value, dude. Like these women love you. You really got value. That is when you're finally free and you can go into the world and build an amazing life for yourself. So I think I just wanted to
And you
speak
can
on that.
see after time again that like some of these guys who are, Bill Gates or some of these guys who have tons and tons of money, they get walked over all of, like, yeah, they may get a girl in the door, but the thing is they're fucking dorks, man. Like they still didn't get that issue resolved. Like
Yeah.
they're leading with their wallet. If you're leading with your wallet, you're going to be walked over. You're still the same old fucking dork with no money, right? It's like I say this time and time again. It's a totally different lane. For some reason they're being put together. Like if you take care of this is going to help in that area. No, and
Nope.
and quite frankly, I'm not guaranteeing you either that if you just focus solely on pickup and women and dating tons of women that you're going to all of a sudden skyrocket in your workforce or work field. But it might not. I don't know, but I would certainly think it elevates you to different levels. Your confidence is going to be skyrocketing. You're a more attractive human being in general. You may or may not want to do it, but it opened the door quite a bit for myself to land jobs that otherwise I would have never had the balls, because it strengthens that thing inside of us to take more risks in life. You start taking more and more risks and you start seeing them pay off, and you're creating things out of thin air that you're doing. You're not just getting in line and fucking, going off to work and listening to some guy's orders. You are your own master. You're creating all these different um, events from happening, with women, etc. And you become a more attractive person. Guys could see you walking around with a different aura, right? So even if you do walk into that job interview, believe me, you're going to be changed. You're going to have, your balls are just going to be, you know, way bigger. You know what I mean? And that's a big aspect. Guys like that when it comes to business or whatever. So there's a much higher chance that that aspect will also be, handled if you just take care of this, because you're strengthening all those muscles, like the ability to take risks and courage and balls to do things on your own fucking accord, like creating this out of thin air. There's no better feeling in the world, man. Honestly, to this day, there's nothing that is parallel to being able to just go out, fucking pick up a girl that you just met on the street and bring her home like that. That's got to be up there as far as one of the most fulfilling things that a guy could do, especially going from nothing. Like you have it right in front of you. You couldn't do anything. You went from being literally crippled or filled with anxiety around women, these big scary creatures, and then you're able to just totally own it and handle it and just own that aspect of your life. It's one of the most rewarding feelings ever, man. I mean, to this day, I don't think anything really comes close to it. I mean, I don't.
Agreed. No, I completely agree. Completely. The feelings I had. I could just go. How like this. I feel redemption. I feel like I was reborn. I feel like all
Right.
the past doesn't matter anymore now, right? You slay. There's, I call this almost like slaying the dragon within, right? There was something that was in the past. Yeah, fair enough. It was going on and it was challenging, man. And I suffered a long, long time in my life. But I I beat that demon. I defeated the thing that fucking mocked me, tormented me, kept me up at night so many times in my life. Loneliness, staring at the fucking ceiling again, thinking, why is my life not going the way I wanted it to go? Right?
Yeah.
I now know in my fucking heart and soul, I absolutely did myself proud. I've been with fucking every type of woman I want to be with, man. I got more texts than I can even keep on top of right now. If I want more, I go into the street, I talk to them, and they end up in my fucking bedroom. It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. I love it. And
Yeah, and there's a curiosity from a lot of people you start to notice, like, dude, what are you doing? Like,
yeah,
it's not coincidence that players throughout history have always been revered. Like, who is this guy? Like, what are you doing? How what's the secret sauce? You know what I mean? It's because it's a very difficult thing, and I know it weighs heavy on the hearts of lots of men. Most guys listen to this, they've probably been heartbroken one or two times, maybe more, and they just literally, when women run the show in your life and you just treated like a doormat, or you haven't even been with more than five women, it's like it's going to torment you and rip you up in other areas of your life. You know what I mean? So it should absolutely, again, be prioritized. I mean, that's a no-brainer. um
yeah. The, the smartest thing about what you kind of say here is this is the difference between fucking real world experience and theory. Theoretical jargon about, oh, this is woman's nature, all of that shit. Trust me, people who are going to sit there and put that into their brain, all that's going to make you is more of a dork, more of a fucking dweeb, more of a guy who comes across weird, more of a, that's all logic. That's all fucking statistics, data, debating, right? One of the things that
mm,
me and Brian were talking about on the phone the other day is like, in a great dating life, in a really fulfilling, satisfying dating life where the man's soul and heart is full, where the woman's soul and heart is full, the power that we have to heal each other as human beings is not in logic, is not in data, it's not in statistics and facts. The power that we have as human beings to love and heal each other is through emotions, is through our interpersonal energy, it's through our connection with each other, sitting there being happy in each other's presence, in thoroughly enjoying each other. You know how good it feels to enjoy, truly enjoy a woman, like multiple nights a week, have a woman in my arms, like loving me, treating me.
those guys who are too logical usually are not that good at girls. Like,
No,
they're just not. They're just over, you know analysis by paralysis. Really, you're frozen. Like, the bullets are flying, you're in the street, you got to walk up to this chick. You don't got time to fucking analyze every little thing. It's either do or die, right? And that's what separates a guy who's a scholar, knows everything about, read every book about girls, and he's still crippled in fear. He's overanalyzed it. And I've met plenty of these dudes. Like, they're just
I
like, oh, they have this excuse, that excuse. Oh, I read this. I leaned into my, it's like one excuse after the next. They're just way too logical. It's not about that. It's about a smile, a glance, a sparkle in the eye. It's these little subtleties that get her attracted to you, right?
mm,
And first and foremost, being able to just walk up is a huge factor as well.
yep. It's they they are like the women are really interesting to me now. Like, I struggle. When I was in the past, man, when I was not taking care of this, when I was not even confronting it, when I was just working, just doing that stuff, wasn't even dating,
Mm-hmm.
right? I didn't know the uncharted territory of women. I didn't understand them. I didn't understand how much they can really give you, how much they can really bring to you, right? The depths that they really can go to. I didn't know none of that. I watched all those videos, bro. I watched all that shit. Look where it got me. I watched all that debate, all that shit, evolution, the psychology, all that nonsense. And where did it get me? Base in the concrete, you know. But following that,
It
because
sells, it's entertaining,
yeah,
and it triggers guys, emotion, like, from their anger, really. It's just
mm,
you're already starting from a position of like, fuck, I had a couple heartbreaks. Now you start to hear that stuff. It's just fueling a fire. It's not really helping you in terms of, you know, healing and approaching and starting from scratch with women. Like, you're just going to be crippled even more, man. It's just going to be like confirmation bias. You start to hear all this stuff, like, aha, I knew this. I knew, these girls are fucking dumb or whatever. Like these stupid whores. Like, it becomes a very divisive pattern, to say the least. And most likely you are listening to that stuff because, you've been heartbroken one or two times and you don't know where to turn. And if you don't know where to turn and you keep hearing that, it's just going to be fueling your fire. And you're going to get a lot of confirmation bias. You're like, oh, see, I knew this shit. They're nuts, whatever. But is that really, you got to ask yourself, is that helping you get laid? Is that helping you, seduce women? Are you able to now walk up and have a positive interaction with a chick, even if you don't fuck that girl? Like, did she smile? Did she say, like, it was nice to meet you, whatever, like, I have a boyfriend? Even that sometimes just better than, dude, sitting there and fucking, rehearsing like this rhetoric over and over again about how, like, women are hypergamous creatures. Like, all right, bro, we get it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, this is like I watched that shit. I did all that. I saw it destroying me. Fortunately, I didn't start with that stuff in my mind. I started with Good Looking Loser. That was really in my brain, and that was in my heart and soul. It got into there deep, so I never could let it go. I could never let it go. Once I saw it, once I truly like learned GLL, right, and it went deep into me. It never went away. Because I saw the truth. I saw the actual truth. So I saw when you see the truth, inside, deeply internally, how can women be, how can um women be that bad? How can they truly be? When I was reading about the experiences you were having, they seem to love you. When I was reading about how they treat Chris, they seem to. So I knew internally, no, all those guys on GLL were having an amazing time. They're really enjoying their life. So I knew deep down, no, this can't be true. And one of the things I'm really grateful for now, and I'm just going to share this with you because I have been that guy in the past who had some anger, who had loneliness. But one of the things I
Mm-hmm.
was so surprised by, like, when you're an attractive guy, when you've got some game, when you can come across really well, when you got those things down, like you start to really get them down, and women start to really like you a lot more. They're so nice. They're so nice, dude. Like the way some of them treat me now, and the ones who are in my life, like they treat me really well. They're very positive. They're very warm. They're really interested in me. They want to know how I'm doing. They want to know how my life is. They're interested about, my background, my family, all this stuff. And the way that they're really treating me is with fascination and real concern and consideration. And when I started to have these experiences, honestly, I felt guilty that I even watched some of those videos that were painting women in a bad light. Even though I didn't believe that shit, I felt like, Ravi, you shouldn't have even ever had these thoughts and seen women in this light because it's not true. It's not true. When you win them over, when you get good with them and you can win them over and they like you, then you get the gold and then you see on the other side of it. And that is possible if you make it a lifestyle choice. Because I know myself, I was only able to sharpen my sword enough to be able to see all the good side of it because I stayed with it consistently for
Mm-hmm.
all this time. And for this reason, this is the difference when it comes to like theory versus actual real world experience, right? GLR is based off real world experience. It's not based on all the all the textbooks and all the. It's based on truly what produces results, right? And drawing on the experience of not just one or two men. It's not just a few. This was thousands. And
That's why
right,
some of that. That's why I'm sure there's guys out there that even have way more success than me. But some of these big time players, they just they don't have the ability to transmit it information wise. They can't explain it well. Like, they don't. You know, some guys could sit there and explain this stuff fantastic. Like, that guy knows exactly what he's talking about. But then you put both of them out in the field, and the results are totally different. Like, so sometimes you got to be willing to be like, you know, just shadowing someone and being around somebody, you're actually, it's one of the best ways to learn, really, quite frankly. And sure, and because all these questions and answers can only take you so far, man. You got to see it in real time. You know, oh fuck, okay, that's what that means. That's what, you know, like then the dots start to connect of all the theory that you read. You know, you see this guy doing it in action. I mean, what else is there? There's a tremendous difference between knowing something and then being able to apply it and do something, right? So I may not always be able to convey it, you know, uh, in like a dictionary way, but like you have to just, this is not about that. This game is about actually getting the actual results in real time, and being able to see the fruits of your work out in the field, man.
The the benefit of like learning from proven true, like guys who have the experience, right, who truly did it. Let's consider the example, we have a number in the world, there are a number of guys who are like, very successful, right? And then there's a number who are like legendary players. You are one. You are one of the legendary players, right? Other people, I'm not Scotty. I'm learning. I'm very grateful. I'm extremely happy with where I am in my life, but I am not Scotty, right? No one
Yo, and
else.
a perfect analogy of this, real quick, is like, look at sports, for example. Some of the best coaches were never great players, right? It doesn't always work out that some of the best players can't be coaches. You know, Lawrence Taylor can't be a great coach. You know, it's not in him. Like, you know what I mean? He could sit there and laugh and have fun about it, and he was a player. He wasn't a coach. There, you know, sometimes it translates. Sometimes you get the best of both. You know, but it doesn't. There's not always. It's not directly correlated at all. You know,
Mm,
that's why I bet you a lot of guys that are truly underground and haven't documented this stuff are probably really, really good as well. You know, sometimes we'll be lucky enough or fortunate enough to have these guys on forums documenting some of their lays and being able to follow some of these guys back in the day, old school guys. But yeah, dude, not everybody's built to be a coach, which basically is like the ability to like teach pickup. I mean, sure, you can always learn something from a great basketball player just by being around him, but he may not be able to explain it well. And it goes like
mm,
that with any trade, really. You know, when I was learning to be a refrigeration mechanic, my dad used to put me out with all the top mechanics. Some guys were better technicians, but other guys were really good at truly breaking it down and explaining to me, this is how this works, this is how that works. And um, so we just need the discernment to be able to tell which is which. You know, it's not always correlated depending on how good someone is with women, right?
mm. Yeah, bro. I mean, the great thing about you, one of the reasons why so many men are fascinated with you is like you people like Chris was really smart because he studied you and like he absorbed he was able to understand like why is Scotty so successful? Why is he able to do these things? And then like he created the core ideas, right? The core GLL ideas, right? Social freedom, killer instinct, vibe, masculinity, all these numbers game, all these ideas, right? That we kind of absorbed from you. Like you're the basic guy who created all the real world experience, got all the results, and then like kind of studied you, and then from there, thousands of other men can get the same results. That's what happened. Like I now moderate the forum, right? There's almost 3,000 men on there. We're proving it. We're proving this is true. We're proving this is accurate. All our guys are getting results. They're getting outcomes. They're building successful lives, just following classic GLO, right? So the thing
I
is,
had a very, very unorthodox path. I could say that with absolute certainty that most guys, it's a very, very unorthodox path. You know, like I was just very fortunate enough to be able to do that, and now hopefully be able to continue to help guys with it. But not everybody's has a luxury putting in the amount of hours I did right from jump. You know what I mean? Like right out of the gate. You know, maybe 2 years removed from high school, and you know you're putting that many hours in the field. Like that's why Chris knew right away, or like that. Wait, this is a guy has been doing this for a while. Like, um, you know, I was fortunate with my job, allowed me to be able to put in a lot of time in the field. It was actually they kind of went hand in hand. Spent a lot of time on the road. I had a lot of downtime. I was meeting women throughout the day. I mean, it was just a very all the stars and dots aligned for me to
Mm.
be extremely successful and really get the work in and tons of experience where we say this all the time, it's got to be part of your lifestyle. It really and truly was part of my lifestyle, and it just never left me at this point. Right. It was, um, that's just the way it worked, man.
Yeah.
Not everybody could do it. I understand that. You know what I mean? I understand that's not going to be everybody's pet, but you can make a big decision to commit, make a big commitment for it. But it felt so natural for me to go in that direction. Like that's all I wanted to do day and night. And yeah, you may say it's obsessive. It was an extreme measure and it brought extreme results. And yeah, then it came back to the center a little bit, but you have to take things to an extreme level if you want extreme, results, man. I mean, that's just what I needed. Because I always had this thing inside of me that I was way behind the eight ball. Guys, my peers in high school, guys that I was hanging out with were getting laid. They had girlfriends. I had opportunities. Girls were throwing themselves at me in high school, and I just still couldn't capitalize. So once I made that commitment, once I took a boot camp, once I got the ball rolling, I had two girlfriends that were very attractive. I really just was all in on this. I just wanted to live that player lifestyle, man. It just became so natural. It was a very easy transition for me at that point. I
Mm.
wasn't bogged down with some guys I understand are in very tough situations. They just don't have the time or whatever. They have a family to take care of or whatever. But it just so happened that you know, it was wide open for me to just run with this lifestyle, and it was very natural. And I had so much drive and a burning desire to perform and get really, really good results with this stuff day and night, just constantly doing this stuff, man. I mean, where there was no separation between this part of my life over here and then this is like putting aside time over here. No, it was just all one blended together. That was just who I am. This is what I'm doing. This is my life. You know?
And I hope people who listen to this can understand that the reason why like people regard Scotty so highly and what you can really learn. Look at the work he put in. Like he did this for 7 years, like 7 days a week with this mentality. Everyone documented it. Everyone saw it. We've got countless people who went out with him. We've got, I mean, I read the stories to this day. I hear these stories to this day. This is this is how like incredible lives can be built and great things achieved. It is the experience and it's getting the results that actually change us as people, right? You can't, I can, I can read about the techniques and all that. Being in the field, doing the work, getting the results, right? This is an important area of a man's life. It's truly important. Men, the leading cause of death for men over 50 is suicide because they're lonely. This is a
Mm,
serious matter to be taken. Your life
yes.
depends your life depends on this. Your
Yeah.
quality of life, happiness, satisfaction, fulfillment depends on this. If you want to be a positive person in this world, achieving your goals with love, with peace in your mind, just needs to be handled, and results are king. One of the things that we wanted to talk about today was how really you can only learn successful women and being good with women, but by really
And a lot of
getting
guys ask me real quick, just to touch on this, Ravi, hold your thought. A lot of guys, I get emails, about what Chris's schedule was, how deep was he in this too. But, for him to leave law school and he was same as me, bro, not just for a shorter period of time, but said he was 5 to 7 days a week, nonstop, bro. He lived this life
mm,
very much, man, like day in and day out, man. He put everything else aside, dude.
mm,
You know, a lot of guys do that. They put aside everything, bro. I'm talking like we become minimalist. We've got men could become minimalist and just focus all their attention on learning, to become more social. Like we there should be in the education system how to talk to strangers, bro. We're not taught this stuff. So, just the ability to walk up and talk to strangers like it's nothing is an incredible ability, man, that a lot of guys just don't have, and it absolutely requires a transformation in the way we think, the way we move, and there's no other way to resolve it other than just really just willing to die for it, bro. Because obviously, like you said, the ramifications are huge. We're
Yeah.
self-deleting ourselves and shit like that. That's crazy. It's so heavy on our hearts, bro. Like we take it to an extreme. I'll never ever forget these feelings of my first girlfriend finding out she was cheating on me and breaking up with me, bro. I was a 19-year-old guy, fucking my heart ripped out of my chest. There was nothing else. Like losing money doesn't even compare to this, bro. I bet you if we were to poll, it would be one of the most damaging things for men, breakups and stuff, girls shitting all over them, right? So why not take these extreme measures, bro? Like that's how I felt. I was like, I'm no longer gonna just deal with this shit, man. Just catching girls by chance. No, just even the playing field, like we always say, get out there and have a constant stream of women coming into your life, really and truly working volume, because it is a numbers game, working volume where you're never in a position of scarcity, bro, because scarcity doesn't matter how good you are. If there's just not a continual stream, you're going to develop a lot of these old habits are just naturally going to be there. Pedestalizing girls, overthinking about one particular girl. These are issues that a lot of guys deal with, because if you get some attention from one girl, but you're not putting in any volume, that girl's got so much leverage, right? It's a game of leverage. I hate to say it, but it is. It's a game of leverage. And you become more attracted to the opposite sex when you have a lot of girls. You don't even need to verbalize it to this girl. She fucking knows. Leave it. A woman's imagination when it comes to you is our best friend, right? It's like so many girls, even when I wasn't smashing 5 days a week, they're like, you must be fucking killing it. Like they were blown away with the new word is Riz, but that wasn't even a thing. But just the overall, you're getting my game and everything, how you were able to pull it off. I've never done that before. Some of them are capping on that, but a lot of them are telling the truth. I definitely gave women a lot of first experiences. I'll tell you that, my friend, whether
Yeah.
it be in cars, bathroom stalls, you name it. I gave them a lot of firsts, and women love firsts. They love, oh, that was the guy I did that with, right? It was the only time I've ever done it. You don't want to be number 10, the first guy to experience that. When you start racking up things, because I had the balls to do shit like that, taking girls in cars. Guys would just not that wouldn't be an option for a lot of men. That was my go-to. It was like a primary way of pulling women for a large portion of my game. My car was my bedroom, right? So yeah, at times if the girl was totally DTF and down and was in the bag, sure, I'll bring her back to the bedroom and make it a little bit more cozy. But knowing that women are so erratic emotionally, 1 minute they want to fuck you, 1 minute they disappear, 1 minute this, 1 minute that. They're a roller coaster, bro. So you need to seize the moment with them and strike while the iron is hot. If you wait more than sometimes more, I would say 30 minutes is a max, and her buying temperature is high, you need to capitalize, man. Whip your fucking dick out within the next 15 minutes. I don't care what you have to say. Get her where she's on that sexual vibe, man. And then capitalize, man. That's the way to do it.
The the kind of like development that you go through as you are like living this lifestyle and changing yourself in the core and becoming more sexual, like you see all these things. You start to see like in practice like what this means, right? And sometimes I think to myself, like some of the lays that I get, right, is because they're attracted in the moment. They are like drawn to me in the moment, right? And very normal in this world that we live in is women have options. They have all things going on in their life, There's sometimes they're really seduced in the moment and then they go about their day, right? And then oftentimes that's the last time I heard from them. because I'm living like this lifestyle, there's always success around the corner. The next one's always going to come. But it was actually
Mhm.
that aspect of what you just shared there, like the deeper aspect of like understanding women, understanding that emotions are really important for them. They can be really sexual, that they can, and that can sort of fade away. Relationships can be really tight, and then they can kind of fall apart. Like in life, like there's peace, there's war, there's stability, and the friendships are really tight, and then they could drift apart. Like you learn these things through getting the experiences, just exactly as you highlighted there, right? This is what teaches you the inner truth of these things, which
And you
I'm
can
sorry.
watch, you can listen and read on a forum how to wash, rinse, and repeat. Guys may not even understand what that means, but this is what I mean by learning female nature. Like you can only truly learn that if you've experienced that. Like, oh my God, this fucking girl, you could see her losing like her logical mind every time you're escalating, sexually escalating. And then she's trying to come back to her. No, I can't. No, I can't. Slow down, stop. Okay, no worries. You stop and then you just keep going, keep going. And then she really and truly wants to do it, but you can see the difference right in front of your face of her logical mind saying, no, I don't want to be judged as a slut. I can't. I have to wait, yada, yada, yada. It's too fast. It's too fast. And then boom, right back to like actually losing herself in that seduction or whatever you want to call it, the escalation, and getting aroused, really getting sexually aroused, her body saying yes, 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 pussy be soaking wet. And then she's trying to, it's almost a war you could see happening right before your eyes of the girl saying no, yes, no, yes, and that's, bro, you can only learn that and see that time and time again. You just know exactly what's happening. You could see it, you could feel it, and you understand what she's going through, right? You can't get that in a book. You can't just read about that and say, "Oh, now I know what that means." You don't know what it means. You have to actualize it. You know, experiential knowledge trumps, your theory, basically. You know what I mean?
Yeah, this is like really like this is what will stop a guy from being frustrated though, like learning the truth. The truth shall set you free, right? Like when it comes to like getting things done, achieving things like building a business or being effective in life or whatever, right? It's the doing. It's the actual doing. It's the actual getting off your ass, going into the world and doing it that is the only thing that really changes anything, right? It's not the theory. It's not about it's the implementation. The study is all well and good, right? But like GLL for me was about
And
execution.
we're in a time, bro. I'll go ahead. I mean, we're in a time. We're in a very strange time. We're in uncharted waters. Things changed even back when we jumped into it full force. There was no other options, right? You had to go either learn from a player yourself or join one of these boot camps and take the risk. Try to do the best research you can and find guys who are halfway good at this stuff that you can shadow, right? That you have no choice. Now the problem is that so many guys have a way out. They have an easier, softer, more comfortable way out. We're littered with fucking online dating, right?
Mm.
You could get very comfortable there. You're not growing as a person, bro. You may give you a little bit of confidence, but you're missing out on a lot of the fun, bro. You're only seeing one type of woman, right? So now guys are confronted with a different issue, right? And laziness is a big fucking issue. It is. Let's just be lazy and not take a fucking boot camp. Let's not really go learn in the field from these guys or whoever, right? So that's one of the biggest issues. You're right. You hit the nail on the head, man. Action, right? But back then you had no choice. You had to take action. We didn't have the luxury of just saying, well, we're getting laid online once in a while, so that's sufficient enough for me. So you settle. It's this settling mentality that we have so many resources almost to a fault this time. You know, sometimes less is more.
Yeah, this is it. Yeah, one of the things that's wrong, and that what causes men pain, right, or people in general, right, is there is an imbalance between like action and taking the comfort. People of GLL, these were massive action takers. Whatever these guys did, They did it with full heart and
Hmm.
soul and commitment. They took extreme, no half measures, right? I remember many of the things I read about Chris when it comes to like doing anything. If you want to prioritize girls, you should be spending a huge amount of time each day on it. You should not be just be doing a little bit here and there. How the fuck are you going to get over approach anxiety? How are you going to get good? Right? You can take 10 years, or you can bust your ass for a year and benefit for the rest of your life. What's the smart person going to do, right? So I did it
Hmm.
that way. But the same commentary is about anything, right? If you want to build a business, right? Get off your ass, do the marketing, do the content, get off your ass, do the collaboration, do the networking, you know, reach out to people. That's how you actually get results in anything. So that's how the world works. That's how life works. So when it comes to online dating, why would you think that you're gonna be able to shortcut the process? Why do you think if everything else in life comes through work and commitment, why do you think you're going to
Hmm.
get a great relationship by taking the shortcut and the easy way? The reality is, I know, like, so me and
And
Brian are
everybody wants to scream out the exceptions, right? Everybody wants to scream out the exceptions. Well, I know somebody who's had a wonderful relationship off of a Tinder or whatever. But like, by and large, dude, these things are, it's not the best way to go about this, and handle it. And I think a lot of these guys deep down inside know that you want to rely on that. You want to make that your primary way of meeting women and have no other option, and not feel the real change inside, being able to like fucking walk up to any girl you want, that the empowering feeling that really is, and that comes along with that is night and day. You will never ever capture that, just sending DMs, swiping right, swiping left, fucking plugged into the computer all day. Like, you're not going to develop that, man. You're missing a huge element of just your personal growth, man. So I can't stress that enough.
completely agree, man. I mean, I can tell you right now. So me and Brian are open-minded people, right? We're current, we're in the world, we're testing everything, right? We're testing everything. We've got a lot of ideas in terms of how to really deliver a great experience for men. So it involves like boot camp in-person training. Behind that, there's like a Scotty Brotherhood. So there's actually like a group, we have like WhatsApp group. There's going to be ongoing support, ongoing encouragement, ongoing like training and coaching and monthly Brotherhood calls where we can just come together and, share with each other how things are going. So we do understand what the climate is like in the world, and we do understand how to like successfully navigate it so guys can get the best life that they want. And then their investment is, of course, they absorb the wisdom of one of the great ones, Scotty, that they get that installed into them, it comes into them, it seeps into them, and then they can also benefit from all the modern tools as well. So just to put it into kind of like context a little, I know that girls really love cold approach too. And I can tell you, if I look at my phone now and look at the texts from the different girls and are coming in now, right, the ones that are cold approach, they are really investing. They're sending me all these amazing messages that just from a short interaction of approaching them, they're swept off
Yep.
their feet. They're like, you had the longest eyelashes, the way you seduced me with your eyes. I just cannot wait to see you again. All this, they're like mesmerized by it. The girls on the apps are like, okay, I'll see you for drinks on Thursday. Like, there's a
Yeah.
remember
Yeah.
how remember how emotional women are. Remember if people listen to what Brian was talking about earlier when he was saying that women are like quite, they can be quite erratic, they can be aroused one moment, right? They can be hot and cold. Think about how powerful emotions are for women. So what could be more romantic for a woman than being swept off her feet by someone who's like truly got this shit down? Like, some of the cold approaches women will tell me, like, I know
Some
you're a
some
woman.
women just some women just get these dopamine hits off of just for no fucking reason, rejecting guys. Like, there's
Yeah.
no rhyme or reason to some of their shit. They just want to feel like that sense of power and be like, fuck you, no, I don't want to. Like, they get a
Yeah.
dopamine hit from that. Like, yeah, dude, we that's why, like, the focus shouldn't just be on these fucking women. Focus on improving yourself and putting you out there, and then you'll just naturally learn, how to move and how to deal with them and what they throw, what curveballs they throw you. And sometimes they'll leave you scratching your head, you
Yeah.
know. And but you've seen it. When you start to see it over and over again, it becomes like, oh, okay, all right, I'm not going to be fucking in my house drinking a fifth of vodka because some girl fucking rejected me, right? And
Yep.
that's almost like the evolution, the progression of, not being able to handle the rejection and the crudeness and that we're entitled to these girls' attention when we're really not, right? We have to go out there and they could do whatever the fuck they want. They have the
Yep.
freedom to do that, and
Of course.
you know like Ravi said, we go there and we sweep them off their feet. They're blown away. They're in awe. They're like, wow. You know, the other day, a girl told me, I met her at a bar. She goes, "You weren't fucked up on alcohol. You just walked up to me with nothing in your system." I'm like, yeah. And she goes, really? Wow. Like everybody was a drunk asshole at this bar. Like I kept blowing tons and tons of guys off. Like you don't want to be that guy either, right?
Mm.
Um, she was blown away. And I think even more now in 2023 that I just walked up to her and just started talking with her, hitting on her, and got her number. And that was like she's just blown away by that. That's the world we're living in right now, guys. So there's a tremendous opportunity to capitalize on this with the whole advent of online dating and more introverts and incels, and there's a huge opportunity for guys to really have the upper hand and edge on all your peers, really, and all your competition. Let's call it what it is.
Well, yeah.
These guys out, all these other guys are your competition. How everybody's got a strategy. No matter how you slice it, whether it's going out with their buddies and drinking and approaching girls, one way or the other, some guys got strategy. You just want to have the best one. You want to be optimizing your approach to be the most efficient, and you know you're going to be the guy with getting all the girls. But there's a great opportunity in 2023.
Yep. That's that's so what you just shared there is so deep, man. I just want to like speak on that again. That's what you said there. So smart. It's so great. Yeah. Girls are also frustrated with these apps, Brian. They're bitching about them. They're complaining about them. They think this is fucking bullshit. They've seen these documentaries about the Tinder swindler. It's getting a bad rap now. You know, one thing that me and you are going
Yeah.
to talk about on the next podcast. One of my boys, he's my friend. He's cool. He's developed this system where it generates using just like artificial intelligence. It generates fake dating profile photos that are exactly like you. They look like you. Me and you are gonna do this. I'm gonna send our pictures to him, and he's gonna generate them for us, and we're gonna just show the
Mm-hmm.
podcast so everyone knows.
Yeah.
So this is the next step in online dating. So this generates Tinder photos that are like showing you, as a really high status person. It's taking your images and it's creating images of you like performing on stage or at festivals or all this shit and wearing, all this sort of gear and whatnot. And it's not even you. You never set foot outside your house to take a photograph. They're completely artificial intelligence generated. And that's now what's going to be um, sinking into online dating apps. Women
Mm-hmm.
are going to pick up on all this shit. They already know. Women have already, so, I dated 200 odd women from this fucking online dating, right? I did so many cold approach. I did 7,000 cold approach. I've seen some shit in the last couple of years. I know how frustrated women are that they go on dates with half these dudes and they fucking end up coming with a guy who's good with women and then just saying, yeah, I'm fucking so glad I met you because the rest of these dudes are just, they're boring. They don't make me feel anything, and they're whining, well, they're fucking me and they're talking shit about them. You know what I mean? And
I say it time and time again, it's a weak frame. It's the woman's wheelhouse. We're submitting to her frame, really and truly. We're supposed to be the hunters, right? We're supposed to be the sharks, basically. So you're handicapping yourself by not letting her see your presence, your masculinity. That all that stuff is no, they can't see that behind a computer screen. They don't know who the fuck you are, right? Prime example the other day. I do Uber part time at night. I pick up a girl from a fucking hinge date, right? And she's frustrated. She starts talking in the back seat. And so I seen an opening there and we just started rapping. Wasn't a lot of game or anything. And she started telling me her story, her frustrations, letting her vent a little bit about the online dating. This was pretty wild, man. And I dropped her off. I got her number and everything like that. She was obviously attracted. I knew from right from rip. And it ended up really working out. I ended up fucking her the first date we hung out. So, that's you nailed it, bro. Like this girl was disclosed a lot of information, about online dating and how many dates she's been on and the frustration in online dating. Like, and all it took me was to be in person with her, feel another man's presence and the ability to close in person, whether it's a number or not. That's an attraction trigger. That's impressive to a woman to be able to do that. You're not relying on the internet. They think it's fucking pussy shit. I mean, it is.
It
It's all of
is.
what it is. Like it is. You're not, able to show who you really are up front. You
All it
need
makes you,
you need the machine to organize a premeditated date for you. You're right. I mean, just think about that for a second. You're creating that out of thin air, right? As opposed to, like I'm saying, cold approach. You can show the girl and give yourself a puncher's chance. She may swipe left on you and probably would, but in real life, you have the opportunity to woo her with your charisma and your fucking presence.
that's
So,
the thing. There's a deficit of that. Like what you're here's the thing. So I'm just gonna give my opinion on like things that I learned from yourself, Brian, that helped me become successful, right? And help people who are listening to this who can do the same thing, right? So one thing I'm gonna preface this with is if a guy out there is struggling or just wants to have a way better, happier dating life and just wants to have an amazing run, great experiences, and just live a better life. Like just GLL principles, right? We apply ourselves in GLL, right? It's about abundance. It's about having a great life. If they want to do this, you know, absorbing like maybe fucking 10% of the vibe and the presence and masculinity, just social skills and calibration that Brian has. If you were just to improve a small amount, you would have brighter horizons and opportunities than you could ever imagine. You would have um, unbelievable advantage over everyone else on planet Earth. You would be capitalizing on the greatest opportunity you could take. And if you were just to improve like these actual deep core components of yourself that are always there, they never leave, they're always there, they're in everything you do. It's actually this that will give you the success that you're looking for and the experiences you seek. And here's what, just to speak on what Brian said, this is why this is so smart, right? This is how a winning strategy for 2023, 2024. In the world now, right, there is a deficit of like male vibe, male presence, masculine. There's actually a deficit of it. And the
mm,
reason these women will go on date after date after date after date, what are they really, why are they doing that? Why are they serial daters? They're not able to fill their cup. They're not actually able to get the masculine presence that they seek because the men have not cultivated it. You don't cultivate it behind the desk. You don't cultivate it looking at these debates. You cultivate it when you actually enter the masculine arena, which is cold approach, right? So if you improve your masculine vibe, your potency, all that shit, if you improve all that shit, right? And then when you're going on dates, whichever format you choose, right? If you're going to clubs, if you're doing apps, if you're doing social, whatever the fuck you're doing, once that
mm-hmm.
once that potency, that masculinity, that social calibration in game is there, right? This means that you've built yourself up to like level 10 when your competition's just gonna always stay here. They're never sharpening the saw. They're never sharpening their claws. Then a great analogy I'm gonna give, right? Just real quick. When it comes to martial arts, right? When it comes to like self-defense, there was a great guy in my hometown who made a documentary about this, and he said something really smart that always stayed with me. He says he's traveled the world to find the best self-defense arts, and he studied under masters in Japan, and he went to Thailand, and he had this incredible coach in the Netherlands, and all these things. And he said that you can spend hours doing all the katas, doing all the discipline. You can have the perfect equipment. You can iron your sort of a gi. You can spend hours just practicing your techniques, your punches, your kicks. You can do your hours of stretching. You can do that until the cows come home. But the person who's willing to do the hard sparring, who's willing to get in the ring and fucking box and take a hit, that person is ferocious. That person,
Mm.
when you get into a confrontation with him, it's over in a few seconds. The average boxer, the average person who does hard sparring is a knockout artist who's putting people away every weekend. The average martial artist doing all this katas, doing all this stretches, he can barely fight sleep. This
Mm.
is what I think about online dating. The average guy just using online dating is the poser. He's not doing the actual hard sparring. He's not doing the things that develop him. He's taking the easy path. When the man comes around who's been in the fucking ring and the woman is there, she's gonna know. Her eyes light up. Her she feels it in her fucking soul. She comes
Yeah.
back for more. That's what
Women
we're
hate
really.
carrying a conversation. Like the whole leader thing is correct. You have to lead like the entire fucking interaction. You know, my phone losing batteries, but yeah, like that's what I'm saying. You need to lead the whole entire interaction from start to finish. You know what I mean? If you go in there expecting that the girl's going to do all this stuff for you and it's going to be a layup piece of cake, she is the passive one where she's has the elective to just sit back and size you up and take it or leave it mentality, really. So you're the one throwing all the punches, basically. I mean, it's just a figure of speech, but yeah, you're the one leading the whole entire interaction from
Yeah.
start to finish. From open to close, right? You're the one setting the date. You're the one going in for the kiss. You're the one taking her by the hand. You're the one, you know, picking the place or whatever. It starts and ends with you, and that shit, like Ravi just said, they can sense that immediately when it comes to experience. They like a man who's experienced because typically that comes with, the charisma, the familiarity with it. Oh wow, this guy's been, he knows his way around a woman. He knows his fucking way around a woman. They know that. That's attractive. Not some fucking dweeb dork who's never been with a girl. With all due respect, it's like, they know that immediately, and that's a guy who's just gives up immediately, even if he does go out there and
Yeah.
give it a whirl. It's tough, man. And if you're out there listening and that's you, you really need to fucking practice, man. You need to get out there and this can absolutely be trained, developed, and that's why it's one of the most gratifying things and forms of self-improvement out there. And it's one of the most rewarding things. You could go from zero to hero. And that's one of the few things you really can. You may not be able to become a pro athlete. You may not be able to become a top musician. But one thing you could become a player. You could become a guy who's really fucking good with women. And I'm telling you, yeah, some guys, you have to find out what works for you. You'll develop your strengths and weaknesses. I may not be the funniest guy in the world, but that's not my strong suit anyway. You find out what things about you, the girl, that you're getting positive feedback from, right?
Mm.
Whether it's your, people say dark triad traits, whether you're, you know, um, sometimes the intimidation factor I would use in my favor. I would use in my advantage. If girls were afraid of me, then you know what? Sometimes you gotta either take it back a couple notches or use that to your advantage. That's where that fucking the eye contact, the dead stare, like the staring through her, burning, searing eye contact is what one of my old mentors used to say. Burning, searing eye contact, boom, like that, like they're just that in itself could have enough power to just move mountains. Where
Mm.
this girl's fucking, her pussy's wet just from that. I'm telling you, it's a wonderful experience that you can cultivate, learn, and become the guy you want to become. Right.
Yep, I can attest to that being a case that, man, I know myself the last couple of years, You know, from when I started, I wasn't too sure if it was possible, right? I didn't know if it was possible. Then I st just stayed with it, started getting results, stayed with it, got more results, stayed with it, got more results. It just kept going up from there. At this point in my life, this is endless. This is like, I feel so expanded now in my mind. I feel so open-minded that like things in life, you can do so much in this world, man. And I also, with that being said, I I do not accept that any man, if they want it, should have to go through life without. I don't accept it. I don't I believe wholeheartedly that success with women and having your needs met and having your heart and soul healed, I believe wholeheartedly it can be done by anyone. By
Mhm.
anyone. I fucking wholeheartedly believe that, and I reject any notion that it can't be done.
Yes.
I simply reject it. I do not accept it for shit. I won't tolerate it. I won't allow it because I've seen every, you know, I moderate the community that GLL, segued into. There's almost 3,000. There's every type of man from every part of the world, from the shortest to, giants like me, right? Everybody gets results. Everybody gets results. Everyone.
Yeah.
You know, some of my friends are like 5'3", 5'4", 5'5". And guess what? They're successful women. They get laid.
Yeah.
They have options. They have amazing relationships, amazing partners because they did the work. They did,
Because it also comes down to capitalizing, right? If you're on turning every stone, you do have a leg up on the guy who's going to sit back and he's overly picky and this and that. And that's another topic I think we should touch on too. At some point you have to realize it's about you and changing the way closing a woman, opening a woman. All these things become repetition and consistency, and the ability to be kind of a lot less picky. Because if you start to uncover that stuff, it's just more insecurities and conflict avoidance and things like that. So creative avoidance rather, to not approach, other is not to. So after a while, dude, like even to this day, I have a very low floor, and I'm happily will admit that, right? But you get better and better with that game and it's an attractive trait to be unfazed by beauty. If you're so selective, bro, you have other issues, man. Like straight up, you're not. I would argue that your game is not that great because, you're nope, no good for me, no good for me. I won't do it. I won't do it. Like a lot of the top players that I've met, they have very low floors, bro. They'll take what they can because they realize that's part of it, man. The chase, it's part of the excitement, and the five still actually requires a lot of the same process as the
yes,
9 or
they
10.
did.
It is the same shit. It doesn't matter. You still need those reps, that repetition, bro. And at the end of the day, you probably won't even fucking remember their 9. You won't remember the 10, unless you never know. But the point is, you should go in with that attitude that anything can happen. I may never see this girl again, right? But the one thing that sticks with you is the results, the repetition, the ability to seduce the woman, to escalate, to flirt with this girl. Though that process is still the same for the 5 as it is for the 9. You know, that's the one thing I learned very, very quickly. I used to be very picky, but that came along with a lot of insecurity. I was also, if you uncover that, it was also a lot of creative avoidance, justifying things, not opening sets, not doing enough sets, not practicing enough. It's just practice at the end of the day,
Mm.
right? And the better you get with even the 5 or the 6, you know, women notice all that shit, dude. They really do. If you
Yeah.
walk in even with a 5 in a room, that pre-selection there, that social proof is there. They can help you in so many ways. Let's stop it with the excuses that I'm only going to talk to 8s, 9s, and 10s. Like, I don't know, man. When that to me is a lot of avoidance there and a lot of insecurities there.
Yeah.
It's the same process. It really is. It's the same process, man. You
Yeah.
can't just walk up to a 4 or 5 and be like, take your fucking clothes off, get on your knees and suck my dick. You know what I mean? Like,
No.
you still need to do some of the stuff, and guys are just unwilling to. And the few differences I do notice, they know that you're never gonna date this girl, right? When some of these girls that I've taken down that were way below my pay grade, fucking, they know, they just know. There's,
Of course they
just
do.
have fun. They're not gonna. I never hear from some of these girls again. They just know I'm not gonna date these
Yeah.
girls, but that's fine. Still have fun with them. You can still get the practice of doing it. Biologically, all those preferences are man-made. Biologically, you still need to get your shit off. Your body relaxes after you bust a fucking nut. Does
Yeah.
the body know a difference between your personal 9 and your personal 6? No, the body is more relaxed and at ease even afterwards, right?
Yep.
So, dude, I'm telling
Yeah.
you, if you're willing to lower the bar at times, you'll notice, wow, I'm also getting the 9s and 10s, but because I lowered the bar, I lowered the bar, man. I'm willing to even take down, the 5s, even the 4s sometimes. I don't give a fuck. To be unfazed by a woman's beauty is an extremely attractive trait.
Yeah. I mean, there's also a lot to be said for just the power of being an open-minded person. Because look, there's a lot to be said for the healing power of just touch, of just affection and physical
Right.
intimacy, and how like, man, like I once read that if a baby isn't given a lot of physical touch after birth, then within like a few days, actually, it dies. It's so
Yeah.
powerful. Our bodies, our genes know that we need intimacy, we need connection to other human beings, right? And like I know myself, like now I get laid, right? I do get laid, right? Fairly well, I mean, fucking hell, the last week has just been fucking endless, just a lot of pussy. And I know how I'm walking through the world, just healthy, happy, wanting to take on the world, right? And that I attribute to the power of physical touch. Like we can heal each other like that, just being connected with other people. And there's also a lot to be said of like open-mindedness, you know what I mean? Like I've been with some women who were like attractive, I've been with some women who weren't maybe the belle of the ball. And I've had an amazing time with all sorts of different women and I've absolutely enjoyed it. I've had
Mm-hmm.
great memories, great times. It's a good thing to give a human being like a lot of pleasure and to receive pleasure in yourself. And internally in your psychology, like we're on the same team. I'm a man, she's a woman. We both have needs. We both are in this world. We both want to be happy. I'm gonna give her a great time. She's gonna give me a great time. We created a better experience for the whole world. We made each other better off in some sense. This is purely positive. This is a good thing, right? We don't want lonely people in the world who are feeling emotionally destroyed inside. So why think in these closed-minded terms that that you need to pursue some sort of physical perfection? You know,
Mm-hmm.
all you all you're
Exactly.
re all you're really do you're right with what you said, creative avoidance. So what it is really what you're getting at is it's almost like approach anxiety that a guy's
Yeah. Yeah.
avoiding it because approach
Some
anxiety
of these
really.
guys, bro, I'm sorry to cut you off, man,
That's
but
okay,
they,
bro.
they stand out to me. I went out with a lot of guys, especially coming up, and had a lot of different wings and stuff. And I hear that one time and time again when I'm out in the field with some of these guys. Oh no, some of the pickiest guys in the world, they don't fucking get laid, man.
Yep.
They just don't get laid. Nope,
Overthinkers.
can't do that. Oh, nope. Yeah, they. And when you peel back the layers, bro, it's more deep rooted issues, sexual anxiety issues,
Yeah.
um, the sense of entitlement. You're in the mirror, bro. You're not fucking, 9 or 10 yourself. So like, and
Exactly.
it's amazing how entitled these guys are and how judgmental they are towards women. Like, dude,
Mm,
so many guys would not go with a 5, like, or something. It's crazy to me. You're not getting fucking pussy either. Like I
yeah.
said, biologically, you are relieved even from that sexual intimacy that with that partner. She may not
Yeah.
be the fucking model of perfection. You never need to see her again, but still, physically, it does something for you. It really does. That's why these massage parlors have been around for forever. These happy ending places because you feel naturally relieved. Is that Asian
Yeah.
woman a fucking stunner? No, but the guys feel, physically relieved. If you're pent up and stressed out all the time, looking for your ideal woman, running around the streets and waiting for the perfect set. I remember that excuse, and it just never comes. Like you really have to humble yourself
Yeah.
and be willing to lower the bar a little bit. I'm not
Of
saying
course.
wife this person up, but you'd be so surprised at how good of a interaction you end up having maybe with a 5, and how much more relieved the body feels by just fucking shooting a nut, quite frankly. So
Yeah.
there's so many advantages to it, bro. And if you are willing to do that and change like that, the 9s and 10s start to come. But you don't give a fuck now. You're like, okay, see, look at that. They just start to come. You don't care. You're not prioritizing them. It's not this picture perfect woman. Sure, we'd all want our ideal woman, but you're willing to lower the bar a little bit. And believe it or not, it is an attractive trait that other women will notice, even in your surrounding area. A woman is a woman is a woman, right? So if you're
Yep.
talking to even a 5 in the mall, and some other girls see that, or you go to a club with, a 5, it's all helpful, man. It's all pre-selection. Other girls find you attractive, and then your day will come when you're pulling in really, really hot girls. But I do highly advise, like, look deeper at that, man. If you're not getting laid, humble yourself and start getting the reps in, start getting the practice in, because that's what's going to physically change you anyway. Because you'd be surprised. A lot of them don't. They require the same work. It
Yep.
really does. It is. It's the same. It's the same process. You still got to fucking seduce this girl, whip your fucking dick out. I mean, it's still a lot of the same shit.
Yep. It's like I'll use an analogy of building a physique, which is a good thing, right? It's a good thing in life for a man to do, to build your physique up, which is one of my goals next year, and be a healthier, happier man, right? It's the case that in the gym, not every rep is going to be perfect. Not every rep is going to be the best one that you ever do. Not every workout is going to be the best one that you ever do. The ones that succeed and actually build a physique, like Scotty did, are the guys that are consistent, that they show up and they do the fucking work consistently. And they know it's not always going to be perfect. They don't seek perfection. They know cumulatively, if I keep fucking doing this and applying myself and do the process and do it properly, then the results will come. Same applies with women. As you're getting this stuff down into your brain, the escalation, it's just a fucking pattern, dude. Like, you
That's a
know,
pattern. You're right. It's a pattern. It's a pattern. You're not going to remember a month from now. Who gives a shit? It's not about the girl. It's about you changing and getting these patterns down pat, right? If you practice on, or like in sports and wrestling, for example, I used to wrestle, like practicing with this guy, practicing your double leg takedown with this guy who may not be as good. You're still practicing for yourself and you're getting better at it, right? The levels do go up a little bit, but it's like, you still need, like you said, that those patterns start to be remembered. You don't remember the face. I'm telling you, you don't. Where's the hottest girl that you've been with now? She's gone. You don't, whatever. Like, it's, some of these girls, they become faceless, and you know what?
yeah,
That's how girls view us. We're
yeah,
evening the
that's,
playing field. Us guys are faceless to them, bro. They just move on, and we're faceless fucking guys, right? And now, if you have that mentality, bro, you're going to be scoring with the fucking hot girls. Believe me, it comes.
yeah. It's like, you know, some who haven't really properly done the work, and I mean really truly done the work, they're so intimidated by female beauty. They're
Exactly.
petrified.
Yeah.
You know, I
And they
don't
end up,
get.
and then they have an opportunity for the girl of their dreams, and they end up blowing it anyway because, bro, you haven't been practicing. You haven't humbled yourself, man. Like, that's why. And then you end up fumbling the bag with this girl because you're trying to
Oh.
be your perfect A game because you just waited for your perfect set and God handed it to you and you still fumbled the bag because you have to put that shit aside, man.
Yeah, yeah.
It,
This
it's, it really is. It is.
this is true. This is what I found. Like, I just saw it as a process. I just saw it as like getting every facet down, like just being able to vibe really well, being able to communicate well, come across masculine, man to woman. Of course, I'm working on it. I'm getting better, but the results are coming and they're there. Um, and as the time has gone. by, I don't care so much about,
Hmm.
you know, it doesn't do anything to me. If I can look at a really beautiful woman's face, nothing is there's no fireworks, there's no fucking klaxons from heaven because it's a female, it's a woman. There's the same process is going to have to take place to seduce her. Then
Guys are
this,
so blown away by beauty, like you said, dude, that I actually, my one of my teachers or guys that I worked under, he had guys, because guys are so hung up on this. Nope, I refuse to talk to that girl. Nope, I won't sleep with that girl. And they're waiting for their ideal set and ideal woman. And they end up, he actually had a thing where he would help guys like look for, you're so obsessed with this, look for this woman's imperfections. She's not perfect. We start to have this imaginary woman that she's fucking perfect. Look for her imperfections, bro. Maybe your face is a little crooked. Like, stop pedestalizing fucking human beings and people. It's an immature thing anyway. It really is.
it is
It's
truly
not gonna.
immature.
Yeah, it's an
It's
immature. It's a
truly
high school thing. Like, get
it
over
is.
yourself. Get over yourself, and know that the work happens within inside. You know.
Absolutely, man. This is a good point. I want to speak to this a little bit more actually because, man, some of the women that like help me change as a man, help me go from being like insecure, kind of bitter, kind of angry, kind of hurt inside, honestly, wounded. Some of the women
Mhm.
who were so fucking nice to me, who just treated me well, man, they had a lot of problems themselves. They had
Yeah.
issues. They had all sorts that they were dealing with. I know there's been really high quality women, there's that I've dated, there's been like really fucking pretty or whatever, right? There was over time has gone by now, the ones that really had a true impact on me, dude, they had all sorts going on in their lives. They were imperfect in every way you can imagine. They had challenges. They've been through trials and tribulations. But I fucking cherished every second that I was with them. Some of the best times of my life were just hanging
Hmm.
out with them, doing, well, it didn't really seem like much, going to the beach, just talking, something like that. How much weight it took off my heart and soul. And
Hmm.
for this reason, I became a better man. I healed myself internally. The wounds, the things that were there that just crippled me started to go away. So I have so much appreciation for different women. You know, this point that you make is a really good one, actually. It's actually very deep. What I'm hearing is you're telling guys to learn how to really enjoy women. Like, look beyond the looks, learn how to really fucking truly enjoy being with a woman, right? Um, that's a
And
great
humble
thing.
yourself and be willing to even take down the five. Stop being super, super picky and waiting for your ideal set.
Yeah,
Guys like that have a very difficult time. They're not really getting laid. They're super. They have issues, man. They have other issues. They're this sense of entitlement. Like, you got to work your way up the ladder, bro. Just like in anything else, man. You got to work your way up. How do you know you're entitled to that 9 or 10? It'll come as a result. But if you're willing to humble yourself, that work you're putting in, it's not going unnoticed. You're like you said, you're also doing a service to the other woman, and you're making her feel good. She may not be getting the attention of a 9 or 10, but you're making that woman also feel good. You're
yeah,
also, like I said, the body doesn't have preferences, really. I'm telling you, that's more of a man-made thing.
yeah,
Physically, you're still getting a nut off from a 9 or a 5. You're
yeah,
still getting a fucking nut off,
yeah.
and your body is still more relaxed and at ease. Like, oh, that wasn't so bad after all. Like, still feel pretty good. You'll fucking forget about this bitch in a month anyway. I'm just keeping it real, man.
It's
Like,
true. It's true.
guys would be very surprised, man, when taking them down a lot of beautiful women, but I've also taken down a lot of girls that would, it never went anywhere. Like, there was no, yeah, I don't view that girl. There is a looks threshold when it comes to me settling down with a girl for sure,
Of course, of course.
but doesn't mean I can't have a good time with this girl, right?
Yeah,
Have a good experience with this woman. And physically also, there's benefits to it. There's absolute benefits by getting your nut off, man. People feel more relaxed. A lot of people are fucking pent up day to day. That's why sex is such a massive market, right?
yeah.
Um, it sells, man, and because you physically feel better, dude. Look at these priests and stuff like that. I know we're going off on a tangent here, but like, this suppression stuff is not healthy. You know, you're going to suppress yourself and take a vow to God or whatever, and you end up fucking molesting boys. Like, dude, it's not, I don't think it's a natural thing at all. I would argue to the death. That's not a natural thing, you know?
Of
So,
course.
you know, I went celibate for a while, and some of the most miserable days of my life, man. Very depressed person. Like you said, we're human beings. We need physical touch. We need affection. We need love, intimacy, right? Those are the things we remember. The body, you know, needs these things. You know.
Yeah. I've been there repressed. I've been there suppressed. Those things, it doesn't work. It makes everything worse. You lose touch with your emotions. You lose touch with your drive and instincts. And
Yeah.
like you go from being like, those are not bad things. Those drives, they're not bad things. They're there for a
No, it's
reason.
just a very bad stigma around sex. That's
Yeah.
why, you know, there really is, dude. If we're waking up in the morning and you got a boner, like, or you know, suppression is never self deprivation, and suppression is not a good thing, man. Our God given ability, you know, sex powers are very real,
Yeah.
you know. And I remember ever getting off of that dry spell, and it made me appreciate sex on a whole new level. You know, the reason, you know, people are so desensitized from it, but like, it's a transformative experience. It really is. It's two people together exchanging energies, and it could be, it usually is a very positive experience, man.
I totally feel this, man. It's like, you know, when we are in that mode of suppression and like celibacy and things like that, like it's avoidance in many ways, right? It's also it's cutting off your power, in my opinion, right? So some of those emotions that come up within us, like our urges, our like desires, our frustrations, or even our anger or whatnot, right? Bottling all those things up, like it tunes you out. It kind of like bottling all those things up, right? Um, in your core, you start to like lose touch with yourself and who you are and what you want. Those things start to like be very hazy and obscured. And
Mm-hmm.
this is one of the things that causes people to
You
suck.
start to get into some weird fucking shit, bro. Point blank. That's why it's a punishment when you're not when you're locked up. You're put away with other men, right? That's a big thing. You're taking away your power, your God given power. Some weird fucking shit happens there, right? In
Mm.
jail. That's why guys are, whenever a female officer is around, or you got to separate them, they're fucking drooling, you know, or they get a dirty magazine when they're locked up. They're, you know, fawning over this. It's you know, we take it for granted. These people have the luxury to be like, no, I'm gonna, you know, take a vow of celibacy, bro. Imagine if it was actually physically taken away from you, how bad you would feel, how unappreciative you are. You know, if used responsibly, it's a very healthy thing. It's a very healthy thing. You know?
I actually,
I don't have the statistics in front of me, but I would fucking bet my life, because I've experienced it, that guys have shown less signs of depression. They're healthier. They're, you know, they can function better throughout the day. Like,
yeah,
um, yeah, bro, it's just think about it. Self-depriving yourself. You're suppressing yourself in the name of some fucking God. Like, I don't know, man. You know, there's been a lot of issues with that. Guys get into a lot of weird shit if you're gonna play that game.
yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
yeah.
look at all the cases, man, of priests and stuff touching little boys. It's crazy, bro. If you were to deprive yourself of that stuff and you can't handle it as sex because it's so bad, and a lot of that shit is conditioning anyway, from your society, parents, and stuff like that, and what's around you, how sex is so bad, you know. And now you're going to play the game of suppressing it. It's an issue. All of it's a problem. You've made sex now a problem, right? It's a
Mm.
fucking problem. Think about that. Like, you made it an issue. You control something, suppress something, take a vow. You're having an issue with it. You're struggling with something. So instead of just handling it responsibly and maturely, you've now turned it into an issue. And meanwhile, it's just a God given ability, right? I mean,
Yeah. You know, one of the things that I found as I've been through my journey, right? It was I actually I actually used those emotions. I actually used my drives, my desires, like the frustrations, the highs, the lows. I actually started to feel that more. I actually started to sink into like, what do I want? And actually started to like be more expressive with a woman, right? Finding my emotions that were locked away, that were like pushed down. That was why I sucked
Mm-hmm.
in the past, because I was avoiding when those emotions were coming up, right? That were telling me, Ravi, go fucking figure this shit out, right? And I was just like, no, no, I'll do it later. I'll focus on my job or whatever. So I suppressed all that stuff, and then when finally I started to actually try and get some success, because all my like inner emotions and stuff, I got used to pushing them down. A lot of my sets were like almost like a robot, almost like with no real vibe and presence and masculinity. All that shit, suppression is basically just neutering yourself. It's like cutting off your penis.
Mm-hmm.
Um, all those
Yeah.
amazing powers that you have as a man, right? When you channel them to a woman, and when you finally feel those and channel it in a healthy way rather than cutting it off, that is what drives attraction. It creates attraction. Really, that's kind of game. Like your emotions in your core, like feeling them and truly transmitting what you feel and expressing that, right? The woman knows, she's picking up that this guy's got some depth, he's got some substance, he's actually like making me feel something. You draw the girl into your world. That
Mm-hmm.
that is something that I started to feel when the more I felt my actual emotions and got in touch with them. And it speaks to why the version of me who used to have no success, who was a virgin, a big part of that was suppression, right? That's a really serious problem, suppression, because people who are suppressed, they're like a
Mm-hmm.
robot. They're shut down. There's nothing coming out of them. There's nothing coming out of them. You can talk to them, but you don't feel anything. It's because all the parts of them that are emotional and that they would cause them to want to be in the world fully as a man, they just pushed it down. And that's really what leads to wounding and leads to these guys having terrible outcomes. In my opinion, that was really
Yeah.
what I feel. That happened to me.
Yeah. I think guys end up doing a lot of stupid shit if you don't learn this. It is a very serious matter. Like,
Yeah.
whether it's grape and stuff like that. A lot of these things, if it's so built up and you're so pent up and you're not able to handle it in a mature fashion, it leads to a lot of issues. You get a lot of tragedies or things like that, or just unfortunate situations that
Yeah.
happen to take place. When it comes to not being able to just deal with this, on a mature level. Like, sex should not be some big bad wolf that's so taboo. You know,
Totally.
uh,
I heard some.
and listen, we've had to make so many man-made rules to try to control this and things like that. Like, the body itself doesn't give a fuck really if it's your main chick or your side chick or this and that. Like, at a physical level, the body doesn't register that. It's just still sex to the body, like still a vagina. Like, that's why even when you're saying, like, what's the difference between a girl who slept with 50 guys over the course of the year, but a girl who slept with her boyfriend 50 times, right? Is the pussy itself changed? No, not really. But we'll view her and judge her and be like, that girl's a fucking whore, as opposed to the girl who's been with the one guy and slept with him 50 times. But physically, at a physical level, there's nothing different really. Like the body or the pussy is more worn or run through. The pussy's not run through any different from a girl who's been with the same guy 50 times.
Yeah. It's the ideas, isn't it? It's the ideas that we put in our head, which are really what are going to create our reality and what are going to create our life. Like that's the thinking. The underlying thinking is one of the most powerful things. Like you get the right ideas in your head and you really embed them, then that can open up a whole new lane. So I know with myself, like I believe in numbers game. I believe in, lifestyle choices. I believe in extreme measures. Yeah. Because I have those core ideas in my mind, that's how I'm able to like navigate this game. Because like everyone else who pursues success, I have the same trials and tribulations. I get flaked, I get ghosted, I get all this shit. Yeah. I have all these things to deal with. I have rejections, I have all that. It's very, very normal. But the ideas that in my brain are, well, this is just a numbers game. And if you go out there and just put in the reps, do the practice, you're just going to get results. Because this idea is so deep in my mind, then I don't stress it. I'm not worried about it because I know they're just going to come. They're just going to come. It's just a matter of time. So, um, the
Mm.
other constructs that we have to be careful what we're listening to. We have to be careful what we're absorbing into our mind. Because if ideas get into there that are like not going to lead to good places, then that can become a real problem. Like even what you were saying there about, judging women very harshly and looking at them as ran through and all this
Hmm.
sort of stuff, right? That idea,
Right.
if it gets into your mind like a fucking parasite, right? That's gonna
Right.
feed anger. That's gonna cause you to fester. That's gonna cause you to feel like excessive amounts of pain. And in this journey, you really got to be careful of ideas like that because look, no matter what you're doing, if you're doing online dating, if you're doing whatever, like all of these things, cold approach, whatever, all of them have aspects of them that you have to learn. You have to change your thinking in relation to them to be successful, right? And the ideas that you really want to have are not judgmental ideas. You don't want um, ideas that are going to induce a lot of anger. You want really abundance thinking. You want to be thinking about, well,
Right.
um, if I just stay in the field, if I just make this a choice, if I just live my life in terms of success, if I get my get my day in life handled, then if I heal myself as a man, if I'm enjoying wonderful sex, then I can live a really happy, great life. I can be who I want to be. You want to think in these terms, right? Um, so this is why, to take it back to one of the first questions we had in this podcast, the underlying thinking is actually one of the most powerful things in well, really in our life as people. And if we this is why we want to be so careful about who we listen to, okay?
Hmm.
And we want to be careful, and if we can align ourselves with people who've got really useful underlying thinking and just absorb that, then that's a really great investment for us, and it sets us up to be happier people longer term. So for people who listen to this podcast, who tune in and listen to Scotty GLL, the thinking, the ideas that are being expressed here, like at their core, it's about abundance. It's about a way of thinking and seeing the world as full of opportunity. It's about leveling the playing field and not having to live in scarcity. Because once you make certain choices and you embed these ideas and ingrain them into your psyche and you take action, then the world is no longer a scarce place. And once you
Hmm.
start to get results and women treating you well because you sharpen the sword, then they're no longer like these fucking horrible whores. You can't. That thinking goes away when they're sitting
Right.
there. When they're sitting there treating you like you're fucking God's gift or something, and they're like so nice to you, you're not angry anymore. You're not sitting there thinking, "Oh, these fucking hoes are ran through." Oh, it's so easy for them. They can get sex 8 days a week. They're so
A
privileged,
lot of
whatever.
it's cope, man. It's a lot of it's cope for guys, right? It's just call it what it is. It really is. It's just a way to rally the troops, and there's never a shortage of fucking um what's the word, sexless
Undersexed.
guys, and
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
undersexed guys that you can fucking rally around with and rah rah rah, and really fuel the furnace. I mean,
yeah.
there's no shortage of that, bro. So you get what you're looking for, and you realize though that's you got to always ask yourself the question: do you want to get laid? Do you want to really have positive interactions with women? Right? Where does this lead? Where does I know it may bring some temporary pleasure, for sure, because anger sometimes, and feeling like you're right about a certain topic, or that brings some sort of pleasure to you or validation. But like, you know There's a better way. You want to be getting laid, right? I mean, you want to
For
have
sure.
positive, you want to have option. You want to have options. You don't want to settle where you know, take the first girl that fucking gets your dick wet and, you know, pedestalize this woman where she's got all the leverage and she walks all over you, you know, and leaves you again, you know, with another broken heart so that you could just keep, you know, just like a woman could be scorned, a guy, you know, same fucking thing. He's, you know, you're telling me a guy 10 years of dealing with this shit and not really getting this aspect handled, never really truly experiencing, you know, uh, a lot of options in his life when it comes to girls, actually having the ability to choose from five if you would rather just chill with one girl, but having that ability to, you know, be the selector is an empowering place that most men never ever experience. So
Yeah.
I mean, all these things are possible for you. You know, they
Yeah.
really are.
So why not have that as an idea? Why not lead with that? Why not like take this as an ideal rather than like festering in anger and debate in like obnoxious logic that pulls you away from being a naturally attractive, happy man who walks through the world with peace? You know, this is why, just to kind of like bring our podcast to like a close and kind of centralize all the themes that we talked about today. This is why one of the important things that myself and Brian are going to do is we're going to set up a community that's like a WhatsApp chat, and we invite everyone who listens to the Scotty GLL podcast to join. This is a free community. This is separate from our Bootcamp alumni group, which is a different. That's a group with real structure and program. But the free community we want to generate so guys can actually come and coalesce around positive ideas, solutions. Like we want to bring guys in, and we want to bring guys with the right mentality and abundance thinking in so they can feed off each other, they can befriend each other, they can contribute value to each other, hold each other accountable, build each other up, and forward the ideas of Scotty and Chris that have helped countless men not have this problem anymore. So we're going to create this group, and within this group, um, you're going to see action taken. You're going to see myself. You're going to see Brian actually giving our um putting our energy into this to show you how we think and the things that I've of course learned from Brian and the core ideals that we should be working towards. We should be working towards like having a loving heart and soul that appreciates women, that has options, that has great experiences with women, that is getting success. That's what we should be working towards. We want to be putting our time and energy into that. We want to be associating with men who are on that track. We want to be putting ourselves in the position where we can catch a vibe off them. We want to be picking up their habits. We want to be moving through the world like they move through the world. So that's why us creating a really positive community is important, because what me and Brian want to do is create actual brotherhood here. We want men to come together and take action together and enjoy each other's successes and be happy when other men are succeeding and actually like learn from them. Like we can all be brothers on the same team here. Right? We can get
Mm-hmm.
hundreds of guys in this group and we can all move together as a unit and help each other be successful, because we don't at its core, we don't want people to be lonely. We don't want lone wolves roaming the streets, going through the highs and lows, ups and downs alone. We want to be there, you know, creating a great community spirit where we can laugh at these rejections together. We can we can laugh at the tough times that we turn around and turn into success. Because um to just consolidate what you heard in this podcast today, really what it's about is about how to think in different terms and put different ideas in your head that are going to end you up in a far better place. So if you start with a roadmap that's going to put you in a really good place, right? And you're going to travel it with really good people, that's a fantastic journey to be on. And part of what why we have to do this now is because a lot of the information that is out there, a lot of the cultures and communities that have been built around red pill, around manosphere, around all this stuff, they're fucking toxic. So we're gonna do one that's just good, dude. Like just good, positive, like encouraging. and we're going to enjoy all the approaches we do together. We're going to do in-person meetups. We're going to actually gather together. And
And you got to understand something. This is not about fluffing, like fluff talk and stuff like that. We'll tell it like it is. I mean, I'm a street kid. I mean, I'm from New York. This is, I mean, if a girl's a fucking whore, I'll say it. I'm not going to fluff talk anything. I get that, but we're results oriented. We're very much results oriented. We want to see you have success with women, right? But we're also not going to fluff things either, right? So if a guy is dealing with some girl and he's, in our chat or part of our group and he's sticking it out with some girl who there's obvious red flags, we're going to tell him like it is. We will. Absolutely. We're results oriented. First and foremost, we can't go an episode without ever just mentioning like the importance of logistics, putting yourself in the best possible situations to succeed. Ravi right now is crushing it. He's in a great location, right? It's a game changer. I mean, and a game killer if you don't go into a really good metropolitan city that you also feel at home at. You may need to explore. Do your exploring. Travel a little bit if you can. But that's got to be handled and it's got to be taken care of immediately.
yeah, that's a really important point. So logistics are king, logistics are king. Let's just repeat that. Logistics are king. Anyone listening to this,
Yeah,
this is why we're going to do this in a way that gives you access to all the deep, deep, deep wisdom and knowledge, right? It's going to be real and raw. It's going to be honest and transparent.
that
I've
is
done,
probably one of the most core principles for sure. Absolutely, one of the most core principles to the whole Scotty Ravi Bootcamp and everything. Like it's one of the most important aspects to the whole thing. I really do believe that a lot of the advice just either assumes that that's available or just completely overlooks it as a way to win, a way to succeed. Without it's a wrap, dude. You're gonna be frustrated. All these bad qualities, since we're already coming from behind. The male is already coming from behind. That's why we say leveling the playing field. It's coming from behind as it is. All of these conditioned responses and the pedestalizing and sweating girls and allowing girls to get under your skin and fueling those fires within, and having a very toxic view on women. That's all going to be there when you're in a very scarce area as well. Believe me, the more
yeah,
abundance you have and the better the location, you're going to have a way, it changes your whole outlook on women because you really and truly in real time get to experience, oh, there's another girl that looks just like her 5 minutes from there. Oh, another one. Oh, another one.
yeah,
No big deal. It really, in a big city, removes the personal element, the personal attack, the insult. Oh, that girl's a bitch. What girl? What girl are you talking about? There's fucking thousands here. Like we forget. We want the women to almost become faceless, just like they
yeah,
view us. We're a bunch
yeah,
of faceless dudes. That's the way it is. It's just the way it is with women. They
yeah,
move on so much quicker, bro. They're not hung up on looks. Beauty is their primary asset. They weaponize it, right? So to be unfazed by it because you're in a huge city with fucking gorgeous women, that's the best remedy that I know. You're not going to get that, in a small town, or if you're not out there experiencing this and you're just swiping right, swiping left based on appearances and pictures. You're not going to develop that. You're going to miss all of that, and you're going to be a bitter guy. And guess what? You're going to tune into these fucking toxic podcasts, and you're going to find something that's going to fuel your anger. It's either you're fueling your anger or you're using the fire extinguisher and going towards the solution, which ultimately is working with someone, having mentors, having the brotherhood, and committing yourself to it. Just like guys like Ravi, Chris, the list goes on, and putting yourself in the right location to win, man.
absolutely nailed it. Absolutely nailed it. Here, I'm in a location where there is volume. I leave my flat, I leave my apartment, walk down the street, volume, 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 volume. Do you think I'm stressing about my possibilities for my future
Yeah.
when all I have to do is go down the street and see beautiful women? Do you think my brain is saying, "Oh no, Ravi, you're gonna die alone"? Do you think women are living in my head rent free? Women,
Right.
well, one of the things that people are going to see in this community, they're going to see real and raw, man. We're just going to tell it how it is, right? I date women and they change their mind like that, right? They do. Of course they do. They're allowed to. I'm a fucking player, man. It's cool. I'll get another one, right? But but like because I have logistics, it is only a couple of days before I go on the next date with someone else. And that's what makes me immune because otherwise I would be devastated by some of these things. You know what I mean? I would be
Yes.
heartbroken by some of these are beautiful women that are just really high quality, great. Couple dates, I get the text, Ravi, I'm just not ready right now. I'm just, this
And
is
water
happening.
seeks its own level. So guess what? Guess where poor little Ravi's going to turn? Ravi's going to turn on one of these shows. He's going to find these shows that have the confirmation bias, the anger, the fuel. You're going to fuel that furnace. You're going to keep burning that wood. That's where a guy like that's going to turn. And then likewise, I'm not immune to that shit. If
None of
you,
us are.
no one is immune to this. It's
No,
like if you are in this scarcity and dealing with things like the one nightish, this girl broke my heart, and this and that, and coming from a very limited standpoint, guess where you're going? Guess where you're going for an outlet? You're going to these mainstream shows. You're going to these places
yeah,
that fuel that toxicity within you, and you're the one who's burning, burning, burning. They're not there. That's just a reflection. Like whatever, people are making their living, they're doing what they got to do, but you got to look at yourself in the mirror and be like, dude, that's where my mind is going. I need, I'm rallying around these guys because this is my day-to-day experience. I'm living in scarcity. I'm getting walked over by girls. So guess where I'm turning? Turning to these shows. That's why they're blowing up. Right.
yeah.
So, a lot of guys are in a scarce place right now. Right. And they have a very limited outlook when it comes to dating and meeting tons and tons of women on a
For
consistent
sure.
basis where it removes again the personal element of it, like this personal attack that women have an agenda against you, right?
That's the thing with it. Because that is just fucking cope, right? Because they're hurt by it. That they don't know that the antidote and the antiseptic for the wound that is created by scarcity does exist. It's called logistics. So you can have abundance mentality. Yeah. The antiseptic,
It's
the wound.
logistics and it's logistics and it's getting a really good wing or and I'm a big believer in that.
Yeah,
Logistics one, and then 1B is working with somebody, man. Get a mentor, shadow somebody who's experienced this, levels above you, where you can see it firsthand that this guy could pull this girl, that girl, get rack up numbers and just be playing and having fun in a playground and just accumulating numbers, and sharpening your sword all the time.
that's
So
it. That's the
that's
that's
the
the
remedy, dude.
actual that's the cure to the disease. That's actually what gets them out of the prison. Yeah. But when you're in a scarce location, right, and you don't know these things, if you're not listening to Scotty GLL podcast, if you're not internalizing these ideas, because some people they just haven't heard these things before. Some of the people listening to this, they don't get it yet, right? So they're gonna have to keep listening to the podcast, just absorb it, stay with us, you'll learn. Stay with us. Scotty's ideas are gonna go into you. It might take time, it will come. Consider this a medicine you have to fucking take, and it's gonna purify you and you're going to sort this area out. But one of the reasons why I want to create this community is that so many of the little pearls that they need to understand, they're going to be reinforced. That they'll know if you're not making this shit happen, you're going to have to work the logistics out. They'll know if you know they're having a tremendous amount of like rejection or anxiety or whatever the case. We can explain to them why that is and how they can begin to work through that through going out into the field and staying with this process and changing themselves. The group dynamic works really, really well for that, and
Mm-hmm.
it finally gives like people an opportunity to be contained in a location where they can actually have some focus and ingrain the right things into their minds, right? Because there's the guys who are gonna succeed. There's the guys that are gonna win. There's the guys that are gonna like have a fucking great time, right? And why they're gonna have that is because they got the right ideas in their head, right? And they're exposed to the right information, the right mentors. And we want to attract those sorts of people together because it starts to really build up then when you've got other men with these sorts of ideas coming together, converging, right? Success breeds success. It breeds more abundance,
Mm-hmm.
right? But conversely, the guys who've gone, they've felt heartbreak, they've felt pain, and rather than dealing with it in the right way, they've gone onto these mainstream podcasts and they've coped. So really, what they're doing is
Yeah.
rather than getting the logistics right and getting the proper guidance, mentorship, and coaching, rather than doing that shit, which would
Mm-hmm.
solve it, they're really watching this shit, not because they think it's going to solve their problem, because they're not even in the problem solving state anymore. What they're trying to do is
It's
brainwash
about being
themselves.
right. It's about being
Yeah,
right. Yes,
yeah,
and it's
yeah,
about
yeah.
being right. Oh, I'm right. Again, confirmation bias. You just had a couple
Yes,
heartbreaks. Girls have been shitting all over you. Now you run. You turn to these podcasts or whatever, and it's just giving you confirmation. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Rah rah, and it's just fueling the furnace, man. And you're
that's it.
not focusing on the solution, man. You're getting a lot of pleasure out of like I knew I was right about this. This is the way it is. It's developing
Yeah,
a very judgmental I am right mentality about it is exactly what I thought it was. And just staying in a rut and really never getting to your problem. You may feel like you're right or you're entitled. This is the way it is, fuck these bitches, all
that's
that
it.
all that stuff is going to be fueled there. That's it. But if you really and truly want answers, this is the only way. There's no other way around it, man. Logistics, right mentorship, good support, wings, and go out and dedicate your life to it, man, because it will change. All the other stuff will be handled, man.
That is it, Brian. And like we're gonna do our piece to make sure that this happens, right? Because frankly, there's so many things that we can do with this. I definitely think that in New York, we're gonna do like in-person meetup for anyone who watches the channel, like at least once a month, where we can just get together. All guys can come together, just form a community. I can put on talks, you
Yeah,
can
man,
put
we'll
on
have
talks.
pizza, whatever from New York. Yeah, we'll put on a talk. We'll
Precisely.
all meet up. We'll have a good time. Yeah, it's a beautiful friendship, man, a brotherhood.
That's
It
it.
was there for me, not so much with some of the coaches. So I'll correct what I didn't really receive, but I did meet a lot of good people. I met Chris. I met Ravi. I met a lot of good people through this stuff, man. So it shouldn't be. And sometimes, like Ravi said, that's really all it takes. Sometimes at the beginning, it's not all the technical advice I need in the world. In fact, we're usually overloaded on information. We really just need
Yeah.
that permission from your peers and those around you to give you the green light to go do it. Wow, go for it, man. You could do it. Like sometimes you need just a kick
Yeah.
in the ass and that to see that other guys around you are right there with you and they're giving you permission to act on this stuff. And you're not going to be judged. You're not going to be ostracized. You're not going to be, accused of something like, you know, that's what needs to be formed. And that's that push that will get you at least started. It will at least get the ball rolling. There's always room for improvement. There's always your sword. There's things I could still learn. Like, I mean, that it never ends. It really doesn't. So
For sure, bro. For sure. Like, this is why, like, at this point, what we're developing is gonna give people fucking transformation, right? It's gonna, of course, mean that they don't have to suffer anymore and don't have to accept things that they don't want. But it's also gonna give the community, the friendship. So much of this, as you say, right? When you just have the right brotherhood and people and coaches and mentoring, right? The way you think changes. When it's normal to get laid, when it's normal to have fucking options, when you're just that guy, of course you're gonna have success. You start to think like that, right? When it's no not it's not weird for me to fucking go up to a girl and get a number because I did it fucking thousands of times. It's not weird for me to get laid. It's not weird for me to have optionality and choice. It's normal, man. This is
Well,
normal.
that's why this is a very nuanced approach. It's not just volume. It's not just logistics. It's being able to work volume under the right guidance and mentorship so that the
Yes.
corrections, whatever need to be made, that whatever issues or technical issues or things that you just need to work on through repetition and being able to see it done properly. If you see it over and over again done properly, you can go, oh, okay. And like I said, breaking down these, whether it be via, video recordings and seeing where you're going wrong that you may be missing. When I go out with clients, sometimes I don't even know that they're getting looks. Sometimes just having an outside perspective, be like, dude, you're getting a lot of looks, which is a girl's way of basically opening. It's a warm lead instead of a totally cold approach. And that's their
Yeah.
way. They show, here's an opening. A lot of guys are just missing those. They got their looks down pat. They got this down pat. There's always something that you might be missing and not getting the results that you want, right? If you're not getting the results you want, it's time to really just, get with the right people, man, and put in the work. And along with the right people, you should be fine. I mean, and
Of
one of the
course.
things that I'll agree with that I remember someone asking me about, like is there anything with like the Tate stuff that we agree with, is I'll make this real quick, is that when you sleep with a woman, right, that you end up hooking up with, you court her or whatever, um, she, it's time to pull back a little bit. If she disappears, after that, she's a fucking whore, man. Like, you have to pull back. I think he says, like, if you're going 100% chase mode and you finally get her, now it's time to bring it to like at least 60, maybe 60%. Pull back a little bit. Give her some room to come chase you and ask you, send you a good morning text. So let her come to you now. And if she doesn't, that's it, man. You know where she stands. This girl is a whore, straight up. Or she's got a boyfriend or whatever. So yeah, that is one thing that we absolutely do agree on when it comes to Tate and a lot of his talking points.
There's lessons to be learned from all over. And I know people will like email in all sorts of questions for you, Brian, and want your opinion on different things. And one of the cool things that we actually we actually now have the opportunity for is we're going to launch this WhatsApp group, and you know, we are looking just to really create a kind of place for people to take genuine action, right? We're really about action taking, right? The questions, the knowledge and all that is great. Yeah, sure. Keep watching the podcast. You're gonna absorb a lot of that unconsciously, really. But um most important is to do the action and get the results and have the experiences. But of course, if people wanna get Brian's take and of course ask me questions too on any subject matter,
I think
whether
you may need
it's
1,000 followers. So subscribe. Yeah, like in order to get, I believe, a live session with questions and stuff like that. I could be wrong, but I think you need like 1,000 followers so that next time we do this, we could, have live chat or people send in their questions and stuff like that too.
mm, sure, bro. We'll definitely do that. I mean, what you just some of the questions that we got from email, you answered one about tape. We got a couple more that we can run through. But hopefully
So,
when we have that 1,000, I think that'll
yep.
be when we really want to take questions from the public. But um one thing that we got pinged over was question on all right, okay. Yeah, so there's one question that says, what brings the best out of each person when it comes to pickup? Is there something that you've noticed? And is there something that you've picked up when it comes to how to really bring the best out of people? Is there usually something that you see when it comes to coaching men, or is it very individual?
What brings the best out in each guy when they start doing this? I mean,
Yes, that's correct.
yeah, when they start doing it, you start to see immediately, like immediate results, like just. I mean, your confidence goes up. Your balls, courage, things like that. These are some traits that right immediately you start to notice. Like, when you're pushing yourself to do something outside of your comfort zone or that you've never done before, you're going to be, it's another channel opens up with inside of you, and you're able now to tap into something that you didn't even know was available, man. There's like a lifeline that's available for you that you didn't know existed. So yeah, you're walking with, that swag factor starts to go up. It's like these attributes start to get better and better and better as you continue to push beyond your comfort zone, which is to cold approach, because there's a tremendous amount of peer pressure not to act, not to take action, to stay in your lane, don't bother people, especially in 2023. And with the advent of online dating and everything, it's becoming a rare thing to walk up to women more and more. That's why it's even more important to get to a big city where at least it's a little bit more accepted, because you got the hot dog guy on the corner selling you dogs. You got Subway. There's a lot of human interaction in big cities, so it's definitely more accepted. But yeah, those are some of the big things, man. Right off the bat, I remember first, session doing a lot of sets and opening sets. I just felt like, I was in awe. I didn't even know this was available. It just opens the floodgates, and you start to have definitely a different swag to your step. A little get a whole new energy. You start to have more energy. You want to keep going. That's where I talk about, like, momentum. You tapped into something that you didn't know was available. You start to get some positive feedback, and bam, you're off to the races. You want to keep the momentum going. Damn, dude, I'm on a fire right now. Like, just like a guy who's, having a huge game in the NBA. Like, he wants to, just keep feeding this fucking guy the ball. Keep feeding him, feeding him. And you'll start getting, and you'll start to see the element of truth behind that too, that it's magnetic. You become magnetic. Women notice you now. All of a sudden that you're picking up on things that previously you didn't, because you were so enclosed. Now you've opened up floodgates, and women are noticing you. You're noticing things about them. You're getting all the looks that otherwise you weren't even aware of, because you also got some positive feedback. And I think that's critical in your growth. You need some sort of positive feedback. This idea, like, sometimes it's case by case, but you need to take, even if it goes nowhere, ask that girl for her number. Even if you really weren't vibing with her, take her number. You may need that validation at times. Just get some positive feedback. You're not, it's a steady progression on where you are, and you have to be monitored. You have to see and be truthful where you are. These guys who come along and never cold approach and saying, I deserve that 10 over there, that fucking supermodel. Like, that's, you have to have realistic expectations, and you'll build yourself up to that, really.
Yeah, that was a hell of an answer, man. And I liked what you shared there, because like what you suggest is that when a guy like starts doing this, the truth of the matter is, just by starting the process, you are a more attractive man than you were yesterday.
Yes.
As you truly are. You throughout the day. Me and you talking about this on the phone the other day. When you start to live this life, right, and you are cold approaching, throughout the day, your brain and your body, your nervous system, your heart and soul, whatever you want to say, it knows, man, how women treated you today, the smiles that you got, you
So
tell
it's like
something.
feeling to, like, discovering gold, like you've discovered something within you that you didn't know was available. I don't know if you could parallel that with something else. I mean, I don't know if you could match that. It's like finding something within you that you didn't even previously know existed. It's like you've won the lottery, man. It really feels like that.
It's, it is
Like,
true.
yeah, it really does feel like that. Like, oh shit, I just found fucking my dead ancestors left me, a safe filled with millions of dollars. You just discovered this. It's like, whoa, you're walking on cloud nine, man. That's how it
Yes.
feels, man, because it's been pent up in us for so many years. And we, the peer pressure, like I said, not to take action. Once you get the permission to take action and you start getting some positive feedback, bro, it's like you've discovered a whole new aspect of yourself, man. You can almost instantly become a new person. It won't show immediately, but you've opened something, you've
Yeah,
cracked the seal, and it just spirals out of control at that point in a positive direction.
absolutely. And it doesn't really matter how long it takes because it will come. And through the process, you are becoming better, you are developing. And here's the thing, those positive reactions and experiences, like the woman's eyes lighting up, here's the thing, that shows you you have power. That shows you you have worth, that you have value. Some of these dudes don't know that. Some of these dudes are getting no matches on online dating. They're just believing this idea that they haven't got value, that they're not good enough, that they're this, that they haven't built themselves up to do this or whatever. No,
You
it's
have the
fucking
cool thing about cold approach is, sorry to cut you off, but you just had me thinking. I mean, the cool thing about cold approach is that that's all it takes, man. The moment you start doing that, your value increases, bro.
yes,
Like
yes,
you've separated yourself from the pack, from the herd, from the sheep, and you've added value now. Your value has just skyrocketed, right? That's all it takes. That's all it takes. As intimidating as it might be, as scary as it might be, even just being able to see a reaction, you know, you're like, oh, that wasn't so bad. A rejection's not as bad as you think it is, or the girl doesn't freak out on you. I mean, there's so many ideas we go in prior to doing it. Like if I never surfed before, I'm gonna think I'm gonna get fucking destroyed by these waves. You just don't know. You don't know until you try. You got to jump in the water, man. Got to get your feet wet, and your value. That's all it takes to increase your value. Because most of society, most men, right now, we're it's a bad state of affairs right now, man. I mean,
yeah,
most men are not approaching women. That's why I would argue that, right now, guys are really not the prize. Yeah, the select few are, but if we're speaking just in generalities, the male, the guy who can do all this stuff and approach is, yeah, I would say, yeah, probably the prize, but it doesn't matter. It's irrelevant. Like just get out there and start making approaches, man.
for sure, bro, for sure. The results, how we feel in ourselves, the victories that we win within us, they're really what all this is about. They stay with you. You know, your body keeps the score and it knows, man, I don't need to walk through this world
It
suffering anymore.
knows, right? It knows, man.
For sure. All right, bro. So we pretty much ran through all the questions that we wanted to, and the topics and the themes that we wanted to cover today. We got a lot of really
I think
good
our
sub.
friend Keaton, I think his last question he sent me, what is new between these lays and the lays, peak GLL is that, again, it boils down to, for me personally, like logistics, right? It's not as enjoyable, honestly. Like you just get way more enjoyment out of, the hustle, the grind, the day-to-day grind out in the field, the streets. There's a level of excitement behind it that's unmatched. Being able to create things out of thin air, right? So now it's a little bit more sporadic for me, like to be honest
Yeah.
with you, because I don't have a direction or a hunting grounds that a go to. You need to, leave your, you know, you need to develop spots. I'm sure Ravi, has a go to area, or he knows, okay, if I
Yes.
go here, there's going to be a stream of women. Like I'm going to have the ability to make at least as many approaches as I would like to.
Yes.
So now it's a little bit more sporadic. Yeah, I'm getting laid, but I don't like not having something to fall back on, something to rely on. And that's the difference between peak JLL. I had so many territories marked. These were my hunting grounds. These are my, like, you always knew that if you go there, you're going to be able to meet a lot of women. Right now, it's a little bit more here. You got a girl online. It's a little more chance, and it's sad to see. I'm glad I'm able to see it from this perspective because a lot of guys are dealing with this. Like, it's you could be living in a better situation. You can have a better dating life. It doesn't need to be sporadic. It doesn't have to feel like it's just, oh shit, luck of the draw. I just happen to meet her at a grocery store. I don't like when it's like, yeah, I can meet the girl at the grocery store, but it's more random. It's a little bit more random and it's a little more sporadic. That's the biggest difference.
That's yeah, I understand that. And even from like conversations we've had on the phone and my own experiences, because I've moved around, I've went to different locations, like logistics really is king. The
Yeah.
the j- the joy that you have when you know there's a stream, there's a constant supply, there's like, yeah, I might have
Yes.
to, it's like I might have to wait for a week or whatever, but like I'm always every day I'm exposed to nice women. Every day I'm having some form of cool interaction. There's just you don't feel this lack. You don't feel this like underlying feel of fear or scarcity, these sorts of things. And that's when it's
No.
really, really enjoyable. That's when it's like, who knows I don't fucking know what could happen next week. I could get laid tomorrow. I don't even know. That's exciting. That's really fun. That's really great.
It is
And that's
exciting.
yeah,
And you could still have a scarce mentality. If you're out there right now and you're listening, you're like, well, I'm in a big fucking city and I still can't do shit and I still have a scarce mentality. Well, I've been there too, man.
yeah,
Like I said, it's a huge part of our things. Like without it's there, but you also need to develop the skill and have the guidance
yeah.
to be able to push you into these so that it becomes second nature, where you're able to overcome the peer pressure of not approaching. Um, so but without it, you're left for the scraps, man. Like a lot of people just don't even discuss hunting grounds. I don't know why it doesn't get even mentioned, but it was a huge element to my game. Okay, boom, I'm going here. Boom, I'm going there. It's like your backyard, and you develop even more of a sense of comfort when you walk around. That almost like social proof is built into that. You know, just by going to a place a lot and feeling like you run the show. You're the fucking man here. You're not an outsider. So a lot of that helps with confidence, and people can sense that you it's like when you're home, it's like your nest. You want to feel comfortable when you get home, and it's the same thing when you go out into the field. If you have a place that you normally go that you can trust in, that you can rely on, like Ravi said, there's to know that there's a stream of women waiting there and available for you. It's a really nice feeling, man.
That's what it's all about. Why would you in any endeavor in life make it more difficult for yourself? Why would you play on hard mode if you want to build muscle in the gym, if you want to build your physique, you want to um go to the gym and lift. You don't want to have to fucking build some sort of like build some sort of situation out of concrete and scrap materials that you need to piece together. You want to make it easy for yourself. You want to develop your business ability and skills. You want to learn from proven methodologies and study success. You don't want to go out and blow your life savings multiple times to work out how to get these things together. In any area to get it down, you want to learn from success. You want to learn from proven experience. And in what we've listened to from Scotty, logistics is tremendously powerful. Take it seriously. Take it. It's an investment in yourself. If something is important, which we've discussed in today's podcast, it is. We know that undeniably. Then just be open-minded to logistics and be open. I mean, I learned the hard way. I was in the wrong location and it was painful. And it was so fucking painful. Eventually, people said to me, look, Ravi, just understand that in GLL, many guys, when they're in these locations that were not optimal, it just was horrible. Sometimes you have to go to a major city. So I moved to London and my life got better. Now,
Mm-hmm.
to go back to what Brian just shared, um, I would just say, and to take it back to the purpose of the question, which was what was your lays looking like now versus what it was. What Brian said was he was happier when he had the abundance, when he had, even though he can get laid now, of course he can. He was happier and he felt a greater sense of peace when he could just enjoy the process and have like regular
Yep.
access. He was happier like that. So for
Yeah.
these for the gentleman who asked the question, Yeah,
Yes.
man. If there is if you want to really get this down to a point where you're like just very satisfied, you know, you've got to be in the right logistical situation. I am
And
now.
I
I'm
feel
in a place.
and I feel bad for some of these guys out here, man, as far as like if I didn't have all the experience, and now as you start to really rack up numbers and get a lot of experience with women, you know, you're impenetrable. Like you're unfazed by the content that's out there now. But if you're a young
Yeah,
guy and like
yeah,
but we were talking about before, you're you know, water seeks its own level, and you're going to these outlets to get some sort of relief or confirmation bias, or you think that that's out there, and you're getting some sort of pleasure out of it. Like, dude, they're really being these are impressionable young guys who don't have the experience that we have to overcome that and override it and see the bullshit in it. Like, oh, okay, whatever. I could watch that and just laugh and see that it's entertainment. Like
yeah.
it's not really affecting me. But the guys who don't have the experience, that shit is really affecting them. Like if I was 21 and watching these shows and I just got out of like a really bad breakup back when I was 21 and I tuned into this stuff, I'd be in a bad place. I would think that these guys are trying to help me, but not getting answers. So it's a really tough spot. And I feel sad for these guys that don't have that. You can't see through the bullshit. Like you can see through the bullshit if you got the experience, man, for sure. You could be like, dude, this is, you know, as you see now, you're starting to get it more. You're like, this is crazy.
Yeah.
This is not helpful, dude.
It's like you got, you know, almost like you got like a shield against it. Like I fucking hear this shit, it just flies off me. It's like this is fucking bullshit, laughable idiocy. It's just so it's at the it is hysterical how silly it is. It's hysterical how silly it is. It's like from start to finish, it's absurd, right? Seduction and romance and
But you can
have
only say that now when you're like, bro, I'm fucking all these girls. Like, this is retarded. Like, this doesn't even, it's
exactly
not
exactly.
applicable. But before that, you would be like,
Yeah,
whoa, like, you really
yeah,
impressionable young men could be affected by this and be like, yo, just, I know, man, I had one bad breakup and these bitches are fucking like whore, you know, and you just
yeah,
go crazy. But when you start sleeping with a lot of girls and girls are chasing you and shit like that, you're like, bro, this is just not
yeah.
very helpful and it's not applicable. It's not teachable. Like it's it's just rhetoric. Like, I don't know, man.
It's true, man. It's true. It's like you get inoculated against it. You build immunity against these things, which is why
Yeah,
really,
you do get immunity once you get that. Yeah, you can watch. Like now, you could just watch it, whatever for what it is, entertainment, blah blah blah. But you know, you need to earn that. You need to earn that to see that and to see through the bullshit. That experience makes you immune to a lot of the you know just silly entertainment that's out there now.
for sure, bro. For people who listen to the podcast today, some of the core themes that talked about, we talked about a lot about the importance of actual experience, the importance of actually winning, the right mentalities to win. We talked about some of the things that Brian agrees with some popular influencers like Andrew Tate, some of the other experiences that we've had in terms of like um, the healing and the importance of like putting yourself in the position where you can get the reps in and become unfazed by female beauty. Now, to kind of like close our podcast today, what I'm going to
And that
say
was it.
is,
Yeah. To close it up, Robbie, I'm sorry to cut you off. There was another guy who was asking about social freedom. He wanted us to elaborate on what social freedom means to us and stuff like that. So I remember in one of our latest videos, I think it was from New York, which is talking about how social freedom is a huge aspect to it's like 70% of the equation.
hmm,
But I mean, I don't know how much more we could elaborate on it. It walks hand in hand with old approach, man. I mean, sure, there's you know, Chris used to have guys do all sorts of different things to just snap out of it. And you know, depending on what level you are and how crippled you are in it with anxiety, you know, we may start you at a very low level. You know, you may need to just say hello to strangers and stuff like
yeah,
that. I mean, so it all depends, man, really. But yeah, social freedom in terms of game, yeah, it's a huge aspect. It really
yeah,
is. It's a huge
hmm,
aspect because what is game, bro? Like, is it just saying the right thing at the right time? Is it just have a combination of having the balls to go walk up and do it and just because you're already a ballsy dude, you know, but they're in, you know, I've seen guys who have balls and then they fumble the bag, they fumble or something at some point, but it's a huge part of the equation for sure.
Yeah.
Um, and
Thank
then
you
you
for
just
saying that.
refine, yeah, you refine certain things from there. But that is the starting point, and without that as a foundation, you can't refine your game or whatever, like your conversational skills and your ability to flirt and touch women when it's appropriate, when it's not appropriate, like um, your humor and stuff. Like you can refine all that stuff, but that is the absolute foundation of where it all begins.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. I'm glad that we have from the authority the importance of social freedom, because I really care about social freedom. I think it's really important. I think it's I would never go back to how I was before. I did not have it. I do have social freedom now. It's a great thing. And it's the core, right? Being really good
It
with
is the core.
people.
It is the core. It is the core. Even like that, the guys I worked with at the very beginning, they have guys start with that. If they're too crippled to even approach, they're gonna do social freedom like exercises to get yourself. Dude, some guys have been in a cuticle their whole life. They've never,
Yeah.
especially in 2023, we're more introverted than ever before. Like, yeah, some basic things. I mean, some people can't even hold a conversation anymore. Their only friends are digital friends. I mean, we're living in some very strange times. So yeah,
Yeah.
we got to start off small if need be. Saying
And
hello to a stranger. Yeah.
that's fine. That's fine. That's how they can heal and regenerate. I was having to do a lot of like stuff like that myself. But the thing with this is like it's good that people know that. It's good that actually what you said there is social freedom is the actual core of this, right? So a guy who may be struggling out there, maybe thinking, oh, what's going on? Like, why ain't I really getting the kind of dating life that I want? Some of these people are a massive deficit of social freedom. So at least when you hear what really creates success, and you've heard it in this podcast, I think that's the batteries of um Scotty's phone running out. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna wrap this one up. And it was pretty much at the end of the podcast anyway. We covered everything that we needed to cover. All ground was taken care of, and we've had great discussion today. But to wrap this one up, we are going to be launching the Scotty GLL Brotherhood group, which is going to be a group chat on WhatsApp, and we do invite you to join. We want this to be some place that actually gives you tremendous value and allows you to meet great people, be around people with a positive mentality while taking action, and for us to be like transparent, supportive, actually have each other's back and be loyal to each other is our goal with this group. And we're going to give details on how you can join that. But oh, we have he's coming back.
I'm back. I'm back. I'm back.
That's
I'm back. My bad, dude. I
that's
died.
that's
Phone died, man. Yeah.
yeah.
Sorry about
I thought that's cool, bro. That's cool. I was just closing up the podcast, and I was just telling people about the group that we're gonna be launching. Um, so people can find out about that, and we're gonna be making a video about that, and we'll actually have a link to where people can join the WhatsApp
that.
WhatsApp group. Um, and as ever, if people are interested in these ideas, there's also the New York Bootcamp, which is going to be the flagship product, which is going to be the gold standard. That's going to allow people to apply every single thing we've talked about here today, every single thing that Brian learned, that I know, to really get you the outcomes and results that you're looking for so you can level the playing field and enjoy a fantastic day in life. And we're going to close this one off today by saying, right now I'm smashing it. Yeah, I'm having a great time in my life, right? I'm just living my life by GLL principles. I'm just applying what I learned from Scotty and Chris. It works. It's proven. The feeling that I have now is a feeling of peace. It's a feeling of abundance. Everything that I did, every rep that I put in, every approach session when it was hot, when it was cold, when it was raining, whatever the fuck, it was worth it 10 times over. I would do all that again with a smile on my face to have the feeling that I have now. Life is abundant.
Mm-hmm.
Life's to be lived. It's to be enjoyed. You can go out there and get this shit. Don't accept mediocre. Don't I invested a lot of money into developing this. I took chances, I took risks because I fucking wanted it. Yeah. And
Hmm.
if you this is one life that you're gonna get, right? It ain't forever, right? If you want to be one of the guys that has an amazing time that is killing it, then the help is there. You, the opportunity to join the bootcamp is there. So as such, because this is something that is accessible now, if you don't do it and you don't go out and build a fantastic dating life, then really it's on you. Because what what I can now transmit to you in this podcast and all the information on this channel, if you applied this, you would fucking change your life. So
It's
it's
fucking proven, man. Like, look how much more relaxed this guy is when he's actually getting laid and getting healthy validation in return, showing that this a guy who maybe his whole life never even got any validation from women, that this is an attractive male, and he's so much more relieved. It's fucking proven. Like, the body's more at ease. He's not as pent up. He's not as frustrated. Sexual frustration is a real fucking thing, man. Like, if guys are more uptight and everything. I mean, it's a punishment, for Christ's sake. So give yourself the permission to square this thing away and feel relieved. Be relieved that you can have a healthy, mature, responsible sex life. And feel better. Even the people
sure,
I got to live with, like, that are close to me, whenever I'm getting laid, I just naturally feel better. I'm not uptight about things. Like, you can try to suppress it and control it all you want, your sexual appetite. It's unhealthy, right? That's just unhealthy.
for
Um,
sure, bro.
we're hunters by nature. Inherently, we can try to control it. Why are we trying to control something? Because we're naturally, hunters. We're chasing something. Wow, that girl's fucking attractive. You're getting aroused by her. Like that. These are like biologically inherent things that need to be handled so that you could have it in abundance, where you don't need to struggle for it or grind. And women will make it more and more challenging if you don't, you know, take control of it, in a sense that, get the right help you need, work volume, work abundance, like, it's out there.
Sure, brother, for sure. That's what it's all about. All right, Brian, it was a great
All right, man.
conversation with you today, man. I really enjoyed it. We're gonna
As
wrap this
always,
one
yeah.
up. We're gonna wrap this one up, bro, and we're gonna get some good guests on. We're gonna get some good guests on to give the guys some value and some wisdom. So until next time, homie. Speak to you
We'll even
soon.
get a woman's perspective soon. We're gonna
Yeah.
get some women on there for sure. All right,
All right.
brother.
All right. Peace out, G. Take care.
Peace, man.